So hey guys, how are you all? Welcome to Proxima What Ifs. So we are back with a brand new movie on what if Rimuru went in date alive with Harem. But before we start, be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Now let's begin the story. Chapter 1. A rift in reality. The city of Tengu shimmered under the moonlight, its streets a chaotic blend of ancient mysticism and modern urbanity. Rimuru Tempest, normally enveloped in the tranquil surroundings of his own world, found himself abruptly thrust into this unfamiliar dimension. He landed quietly in an alleyway, disoriented by the sudden transition from his peaceful realm. As he gathered his bearings, Rimuru noticed the unique energy of Tengu, a fusion of bustling city life and latent magical currents. He walked cautiously, taking in the neon lights that cast an eerie glow over the ancient stone structures. The city, despite its vibrancy, seemed to hum with an undercurrent of tension. The peace of the evening was shattered by a sudden outburst. A surge of dark energy emanated from a nearby alley, accompanied by desperate cries. Rimuru's instincts took over as he followed the disturbance, emerging into a narrow alley where a young woman was engaged in a fierce battle against a horde of grotesque, shadowy figures. The woman, her long purple hair flowing behind her, fought valiantly but was clearly outmatched. The spirits, aggressive and numerous, pressed their attack. Without hesitation, Rimuru intervened. His presence alone seemed to shift the balance of power. With a wave of his hand, the shadowy figures disintegrated into nothingness, their dark energy dissipating into the night air. The woman, gasping for breath, leaned against the wall. Her eyes met Rimuru's with a mixture of exhaustion and cautious curiosity. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice strained but grateful. "I'm Rimuru Tempest," he said calmly, extending a hand to help her up. "I'm not from around here. It looked like you could use some assistance." The woman studied him for a moment before accepting his help. "I'm Kurumi Tokisaki. I've been dealing with these spirits for a while. They've been unusually aggressive lately." Rimuru's gaze softened. "It sounds like there's more to this than just random attacks." Kurumi nodded. "You're right. There's a group called the Syndicate. They've been causing unrest, using dark magic to manipulate the spirits and create chaos." Rimuru's interest was piqued. "I've heard of them. They're connected to a ritual, aren't they? Something that could disrupt the balance of multiple realms." Kurumi's eyes widened. "Yes, exactly. They're working on a ritual that could merge our dimension with others, leading to widespread chaos. I've been investigating, but their operations are deeply hidden." Seeking information, Kurumi led Rimuru to an old library, its musty air heavy with the scent of ancient books and magic. The library was filled with stacks of old manuscripts and magical tomes, a trove of knowledge buried under layers of dust and neglect. "I come here often," Kurumi said as she began to sift through the texts. "This place holds many secrets, but finding the right information is like searching for a needle in a haystack." Rimuru's eyes roved over the bookshelves, his senses detecting the subtle traces of powerful magic. "Let's see what we can find." As they worked, Kurumi unearthed a large, ornate tome covered in arcane symbols. This book discusses a ritual involving the convergence of dimensions. It mentions a process that could create a gateway to the Chaos Realm, merging our world with forces beyond our control. Rimuru's expression grew serious. "If the Syndicate completes this ritual, it could lead to devastation. We need to stop them." Kurumi nodded. "But finding them won't be easy. They're adept at hiding their activities." At that moment, the door creaked open, and a new figure stepped into the library. It was Satsuki Yagami, a journalist with a reputation for digging into the city's darkest secrets. Her sharp eyes and assertive presence immediately commanded attention. "I couldn't help but overhear," Satsuki said, her voice cutting through the silence. "I'm Satsuki Yagami. I've been investigating the Syndicate for a while. It seems you've stumbled into something significant." Kurumi's gaze shifted to Satsuki with a mix of relief and tension. "Satsuki, this is Rimuru Tempest. He's not from our world but appears to be a powerful ally." Satsuki's expression softened slightly. "A new player with substantial power. We could use all the help we can get. The Syndicate's operations are intricate, and their plans are veiled in secrecy. We need to act swiftly." Kurumi looked at Rimuru and Satsuki, her determination evident. "If we work together, we might uncover their plans and stop the ritual before it's too late." Rimuru, sensing the gravity of their mission, nodded in agreement. "I'm committed to helping." Let's find out what the syndicate is planning and stop them. As Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki prepared to delve deeper into the syndicate's activities, the city of Tengu loomed around them, vibrant yet fraught with hidden dangers. Their alliance was forged under the weight of impending threats, and each step they took would bring them closer to unveiling the truth behind the syndicate's schemes. The streets of Tengu, alive with both the hum of modernity and the whispers of ancient magic, would soon reveal their secrets as the trio embarked on their quest to protect the city from the looming chaos. Chapter 2. Echoes of Darkness. The ambush the night in Tengu grew darker as Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki moved through the city's winding alleys. Their mission was clear: gather information on the syndicate's next move and prevent the ritual from coming to fruition. The air was thick with anticipation as they approached a dimly lit warehouse, rumored to be one of the syndicate's hideouts. Kurumi led the way, her senses attuned to the supernatural. Satsuki followed closely, her eyes scanning for any signs of danger. Rimuru, bringing up the rear, remained vigilant, ready to respond to any threat that might arise. As they neared the warehouse, Kurumi halted abruptly. "Something's wrong," she whispered. "I can sense a dark presence. We need to be cautious." Before they could react, the warehouse doors burst open, and a swarm of shadowy figures poured out. The syndicate's enforcers, cloaked in dark robes, surrounded them with menacing intent. Kurumi's eyes flashed with resolve as she prepared to engage, but Rimuru placed a calming hand on her shoulder. "Allow me," he said softly. "I'll handle this." Rimuru's transformation was instantaneous. His aura flared, and a wave of energy swept through the area, pushing back the syndicate's minions. The shadows recoiled, their forms disintegrating into wisps of darkness. Rimuru stood at the center of the chaos, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to the tumultuous scene. Kurumi and Satsuki watched in awe as Rimuru's power effortlessly subdued the threat. The warehouse, once a place of imminent danger, now lay silent and still. Kurumi approached Rimuru, her expression a mixture of admiration and concern. "Thank you," Kurumi said, her voice tinged with relief. "But this isn't just about fighting. We need to understand what's happening here." Satsuki nodded in agreement. "Let's see what we can find inside. There might be clues about the syndicate's plans." Inside the warehouse's interior was dimly lit, its vast space filled with stacks of crates and old equipment. As they explored, Kurumi's sharp eyes picked out a series of symbols etched into the walls, symbols that matched those described in the ancient texts they had studied. "These markings," Kurumi said, tracing one with her fingers. "They're related to the ritual. This place might be a staging ground for their operations." Rimuru examined the area with his heightened senses, detecting residual traces of dark magic. "The energy here is recent. They've been using this place actively. We need to find more concrete evidence." Satsuki rummaged through a stack of papers, her eyes narrowing as she discovered a set of detailed plans. These documents outline their operations, including the locations of their ritual sites. It seems they're preparing for a major ritual, and this warehouse is just one part of their network. Kurumi's expression darkened. "If they're planning something on this scale, they must have multiple sites. We need to disrupt their preparations and gather more information about the ritual itself." Unraveling the plot, the trio returned to Satsuki's office, where they spread out the documents and analyzed their contents. Satsuki's sharp mind pieced together the syndicate's network, while Kurumi used her knowledge of the supernatural to interpret the ritualistic symbols. "The ritual is said to take place in several stages," Satsuki explained, her finger tracing a series of locations marked on a map. "Each stage involves collecting specific magical components and performing intricate ceremonies." Kurumi looked over the details with growing concern. If they complete the ritual, it could open a gateway to other dimensions, merging them with ours. The chaos would be unimaginable. Rimuru's expression was thoughtful. "We need to act quickly. If we can locate their key sites and disrupt their operations, we might prevent the ritual from being completed." Satsuki nodded. "Agreed. We should start by targeting the most crucial sites identified in these plans. Disrupting their operations at these points will hinder their progress and buy us time." A plan of action. As the dawn approached, the trio formulated their strategy. They divided their tasks. Kurumi would use her supernatural abilities to scout out the ritual sites and gather more information. Satsuki would continue her investigation, focusing on identifying any additional connections within the syndicate. and Rimuru would prepare for any potential confrontations, ensuring their plan was executed with precision. Kurumi's eyes met Rimuru's with a mixture of resolve and gratitude. We're making progress, but this is just the beginning. We need to stay vigilant. Rimuru offered a reassuring smile. We will. Together, we can uncover the truth and stop the syndicate's plans. As they prepared to set their plan into motion, the city of Tengu loomed around them, a place of both great potential and hidden danger. Their alliance was strengthened by a shared purpose, and the battle against the syndicate's dark machinations was about to intensify. The night gave way to the first light of dawn, casting long shadows over the city as the trio embarked on their mission. Each step they took would bring them closer to uncovering the syndicate's secrets and thwarting their impending ritual. The path ahead was fraught with challenges, but their determination was unwavering. Chapter 3. The Gathering Storm Undercover Operations. The city of Tengu began to stir with the first light of dawn, its streets awakening to the usual hustle and bustle. Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki had set their plan into motion, each taking on a critical role in their mission to thwart the syndicate's sinister plot. Kurumi had assumed a discreet, undercover role, blending into the city's daily life while tracking down the syndicate's key locations. With her supernatural abilities, she was adept at slipping through shadows and gathering intelligence unnoticed. Her instincts led her to a rundown district on the city's outskirts, where magical disturbances were increasingly frequent. Satsuki, on the other hand, was following leads related to the syndicate's connections within various organizations. Her role was to uncover any hidden affiliations or influential figures who might be aiding the syndicate's cause. She moved through the city's social circles, her sharp intellect and investigative prowess guiding her search. Meanwhile, Rimuru remained vigilant, preparing for any possible confrontations. He used his abilities to monitor the city's magical energies and sense any anomalies. His aim was to be ready for direct encounters with the syndicate's forces and provide support to Kurumi and Satsuki as needed. Kurumi's search led her to an abandoned factory on the city's edge. The building was a crumbling relic, its once bustling machinery now silent and forgotten. As she entered, her heightened senses picked up on a subtle but significant magical signature. Navigating through the labyrinthine corridors, Kurumi discovered a hidden chamber filled with occult symbols and magical artifacts. In the center of the room was a large, ornate altar adorned with ritualistic inscriptions. The air was thick with dark energy. She carefully examined the altar and the surrounding symbols, noting their alignment with the ritualistic elements described in the ancient texts. Kurumi's mind raced as she realized the significance of the site. This must be one of their primary ritual locations, she thought. We need to gather this information and report back. Kurumi discreetly took notes and photographs of the ritual components, ensuring she left no trace of her presence. Her findings would be crucial in understanding the full extent of the syndicate's plans. Satsuki's investigation led her to a high-profile gala hosted by an influential businessman known for his philanthropic activities. Unbeknownst to the public, this businessman had clandestine ties to the syndicate. Infiltrating the event with a guise of elegance and charm, Satsuki mingled with the guests, probing for information and observing interactions. Her keen eyes caught sight of several individuals who appeared unusually interested in the event's proceedings. With discreet inquiries and a few strategically placed questions, she confirmed that these individuals were indeed syndicate operatives. In a private conversation with one of the operatives, Satsuki learned about an upcoming meeting where syndicate leaders would discuss the final stages of their ritual. The meeting was to be held in a secure location known only to a select few. Satsuki noted the details, her mind already working on how to use this information to their advantage. She exited the gala, her role in the mission now crucial for their next steps. Rimuru's preparation. Back at Satsuki's office, Rimuru focused on enhancing his ability to sense magical disturbances. He practiced his techniques, creating protective barriers and refining his combat strategies. His goal was to be fully prepared for any direct confrontations with the syndicate's forces. Rimuru's meditation was interrupted by a sudden surge of energy. He quickly pinpointed its source, an area near Kurumi's location. His senses confirmed that something significant was occurring, and he knew he had to be ready to intervene if necessary. He prepared for a potential confrontation, equipping himself with enhanced magical defenses and strategies. His focus was unwavering as he reviewed the information Kurumi and Satsuki had gathered, piecing together the syndicate's plan and the next steps they needed to take. The plan unfolds as the day progressed. Kurumi, Satsuki, and Rimuru regrouped to share their findings. They met in a secluded spot, away from prying eyes, to discuss their discoveries. Kurumi presented her notes and photographs of the ritual location. This site is crucial. It's a key component of the syndicate's ritual. Disrupting it could severely hinder their plans. Satsuki shared her information about the upcoming meeting. The leaders will be discussing the final stages of their ritual. We need to infiltrate this meeting and gather as much information as possible. Rimuru's expression was one of determination. We need to coordinate our efforts. Kurumi, you'll continue monitoring the ritual site and look for any additional threats. Satsuki, you'll attend the meeting and gather intelligence. I'll be on standby, ready to provide support and handle any confrontations that arise. A coordinated effort with their roles assigned and their plan in place, the trio prepared for the challenges ahead. Kurumi set out to monitor the ritual site, her senses sharp and her resolve firm. Satsuki made her way to the location of the syndicate's meeting, her demeanor poised and ready to extract vital information. Rimuru remained vigilant, ready to act at a moment's notice. As the city of Tengu continued its daily rhythm, an undercurrent of tension ran through its streets. The syndicate's plans were coming to a head, and the trio's coordinated efforts were crucial in stopping them. The pieces of the puzzle were falling into place, but the full extent of the syndicate's scheme remained shrouded in mystery. Each step they took would bring them closer to unraveling the plot and preventing the impending chaos. The battle for Tengu was intensifying, and the stakes had never been higher. Chapter 4. Shadows of the Syndicate. The Hidden Meeting. The night was still, the city's lights casting long shadows as Satsuki approached the discreet meeting location. A nondescript building in the heart of the city, it was surrounded by high security and a web of magical wards designed to keep prying eyes away. Satsuki, dressed in elegant evening attire, blended seamlessly with the high-profile guests attending the syndicate's covert gathering. Her confidence masked the tension she felt as she passed through a series of checkpoints, each more secure than the last. Inside, the building was a stark contrast to its unassuming exterior. The interior was lavish, with dim lighting and opulent decor that spoke of power and influence. Satsuki navigated through the crowd, her eyes scanning for any familiar faces or suspicious behavior. In a secluded corner, she spotted a group of individuals deep in conversation. Their gestures were subtle, but their focus was intense. She recognized them as key syndicate operatives, their demeanor indicating the gravity of their discussion. Satsuki positioned herself discreetly nearby, her ears straining to catch snippets of their conversation. Words like final preparations, dimensional convergence, and ultimate ritual drifted through the air. The pieces of the puzzle were starting to come together, but she needed more concrete evidence. As the conversation grew more detailed, Satsuki took out her concealed recording device, capturing the critical information. Her heart raced as she recorded the specifics of the syndicate's plans, knowing that this intelligence would be vital for Rimuru and Kurumi. Kurumi continued her surveillance of the ritual site, a hidden chamber deep within the abandoned factory. The dark energy emanating from the altar was palpable, and she could sense the presence of several syndicate operatives preparing for the ritual. From her concealed vantage point, Kurumi observed the operatives setting up intricate magical arrays and arranging ritualistic components. The atmosphere was tense, filled with an aura of urgency as they prepared for the ritual's next phase. She noted the specific arrangements and rituals being performed, her knowledge of magic allowing her to understand their significance. The ritual was more complex than she had anticipated, involving multiple layers of magical barriers and convergence points. Kurumi's attention was drawn to a particular set of symbols being inscribed around the altar. They appeared to be the key to unlocking the dimensional gateway, a crucial component of the syndicate's plan. She quickly documented the symbols and their arrangements, knowing that this information would be crucial for their counter-strategy. Suddenly, Kurumi's heightened senses detected an approaching presence. She tensed, prepared for a possible confrontation. The shadowy figures of syndicate enforcers patrolled the area, their movements methodical and vigilant. Kurumi waited in silence, her breathing steady as she concealed herself further. Her training and instincts kept her hidden as the enforcers passed by, their conversation indicating that they were on high alert for any potential threats. Rimuru's strategy. Back at the safe house, Rimuru reviewed the intelligence gathered by Kurumi and Satsuki. The information was a mix of detailed plans and crucial observations, and he was piecing together the syndicate's full scheme. Rimuru's thoughts were focused as he analyzed the magical arrays and ritualistic symbols. The complexity of the ritual was daunting, but he was determined to find a way to counteract it. His ability to manipulate magical energies and sense disturbances would be crucial in disrupting the syndicate's plans. Kurumi's findings indicate that the ritual is more intricate than we expected, Rimuru said, his voice steady. We need to identify the weak points in their magical defenses and disrupt the convergence process. Satsuki, having returned from the meeting, added her insights. The syndicate's leaders are confident that their plans are foolproof, but they're underestimating us. The details I gathered show that they're preparing for a major ritual, one that could potentially breach multiple dimensions. Rimuru nodded, his resolve hardening. We need to act swiftly. Kurumi, you'll continue monitoring the ritual site and look for any changes or weaknesses. Satsuki, your information about the meeting will help us understand their final preparations. A new alliance as the night deepened, the trio reconvened to finalize their strategy. The syndicate's plans were unfolding with alarming precision, and their next move needed to be well coordinated. Kurumi shared her observations about the ritual site, detailing the magical arrays and symbols that were crucial to the ritual's success. Satsuki provided additional context from the meeting, highlighting key figures and their roles in the syndicate's hierarchy. Rimuru, synthesizing all the information, outlined their next steps. We need to disrupt the ritual at its source and ensure that their dimensional convergence is halted. Kurumi, you'll focus on identifying any vulnerabilities in their magical defenses. Satsuki, you'll work on infiltrating their higher ranks to gather more information and create distractions if necessary. The trio's plan was ambitious but crucial. Their coordinated efforts aimed to prevent the syndicate from completing their ritual and unleashing chaos upon the world. As they prepared for their respective roles, the tension was palpable. The stakes were high, and their success depended on their ability to act swiftly and decisively. Each member of the team had a vital role to play, and their combined efforts would determine the outcome of their mission. The city of Tengu, with its blend of modernity and mysticism, stood on the brink of a crucial turning point. The syndicate's machinations were coming to a head, and the battle to save the city from impending darkness was about to reach its climax. Chapter 5. Fractured Alliances Infiltrating the Depths. The city of Tengu was cloaked in darkness, its bustling streets now shadowed by the weight of impending doom. As Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki executed their plan, the tension in the air was almost tangible. Each of them was positioned strategically, ready to act at a moment's notice. Kurumi had returned to the abandoned factory, her earlier surveillance proving invaluable. She moved stealthily through the corridors, her mind focused on identifying any signs of disturbance or changes in the ritual setup. The factory, once eerily quiet, now buzzed with a subdued energy as the syndicate's operatives made final preparations. Kurumi's keen eyes picked up on subtle shifts in the magical barriers surrounding the altar. The syndicate was in the final stages of their preparations, and the ritual was approaching its critical phase. She noted the symbols being inscribed in the alignment of the magical arrays, her understanding of the ritual's mechanics guiding her every move. Meanwhile, Satsuki, having successfully infiltrated the syndicate's higher ranks, used her position to gather intelligence on the inner workings of the organization. The gala had provided her with valuable insights, but the real challenge was to navigate the complex web of allegiances and deceit within the syndicate. Satsuki's role was twofold. She needed to extract crucial information and create diversions to aid Rimuru and Kurumi. Her sharp intellect and strategic thinking were her greatest assets, and she utilized them to maneuver through the syndicate's intricate hierarchy. Rimuru, on the other hand, prepared for the inevitable confrontation. He focused on enhancing his magical defenses and devising strategies to counter the syndicate's attacks. His role was to be the linchpin of their operation, ready to provide support and handle any unforeseen challenges. Kurumi's challenge. As Kurumi approached the ritual site, she was struck by the intensity of the dark energy radiating from the altar. The ritual was nearing its climax, and the air was thick with anticipation. The syndicate's operatives, their faces hidden behind masks, worked with a sense of urgency. Kurumi's task was to disrupt the ritual without attracting undue attention. She carefully placed magical wards around the perimeter, designed to neutralize the dark energy and create openings in the magical barriers. Her movements were precise, each action calculated to minimize the risk of detection. As she worked, Kurumi overheard snippets of conversation among the operatives. Their dialogue revealed that the ritual was set to activate a powerful artifact capable of bridging dimensions. The artifact, a dark crystal embedded with ancient runes, was the key to the Syndicate's plan. Kurumi's heart raced as she realized the artifact's significance. If activated, it could initiate the dimensional convergence, leading to widespread chaos. She needed to act quickly to prevent this from happening. Satsuki's infiltration revealed crucial details about the Syndicate's operations. She discovered that the upcoming ritual was just one part of a larger scheme. The Syndicate had infiltrated various institutions and had influence over key figures in the city. During a covert meeting with a Syndicate leader, Satsuki learned about an impending alliance with a rival faction. This alliance would strengthen the Syndicate's position and accelerate their plans. The leader's arrogance and overconfidence were evident, and Satsuki used this to her advantage. By subtly feeding misinformation and creating false leads, Satsuki aimed to sow discord within the Syndicate. Her actions were designed to create confusion and delay their plans, buying Rimuru and Kurumi crucial time to execute their part of the mission. Rimuru's assault. As the ritual approached its critical phase, Rimuru prepared for a direct confrontation. He had anticipated potential resistance and had devised strategies to counteract the Syndicate's attacks. His focus was unwavering as he prepared to breach the factory's defenses. Rimuru's approach was methodical. He used his abilities to create a barrier that shielded him from magical attacks and to neutralize any lingering threats. His plan was to disrupt the ritual at its source and ensure that the Syndicate's forces could not interfere. The factory's atmosphere was charged with tension as Rimuru entered the site. The dark energy was palpable, and the ritual's components were in place. Rimuru's presence immediately attracted the attention of the Syndicate's operatives, their eyes widening in alarm. Without hesitation, Rimuru engaged the operatives. His movements were swift and decisive, each strike and spell carefully calculated to subdue the enemies without causing unnecessary destruction. His combat skills were unmatched, and the Syndicate's forces struggled to mount an effective defense. A crucial moment as Rimuru fought to neutralize the Syndicate's forces, Kurumi and Satsuki executed their respective roles. Kurumi continued her efforts to disrupt the ritual, focusing on the artifact and the magical arrays. Satsuki's diversions and misinformation caused confusion within the Syndicate, further complicating their efforts. The ritual's progress began to falter as Kurumi's wards took effect. The magical barriers surrounding the altar weakened, and the dark energy began to dissipate. Kurumi's heart raced as she approached the artifact, determined to neutralize its power. At the same time, Rimuru's confrontation with the Syndicate's operatives reached a critical juncture. The remaining forces were disorganized and demoralized, their attempts to resist growing increasingly desperate. With a final, decisive effort, Rimuru defeated the last of the Syndicate's operatives. The factory fell silent, the dark energy from the ritual site subsiding. Rimuru's gaze turned to Kurumi, who was now facing the dark crystal. The aftermath. As the dust settled, the trio regrouped. Kurumi had managed to neutralize the artifact, preventing the ritual from reaching its final stage. The dark crystal, now inert, lay dormant on the altar. Kurumi, visibly relieved, approached Rimuru and Satsuki. The artifact is deactivated. We've disrupted their ritual, but there's still work to be done. Satsuki nodded. The Syndicate's plans are partially thwarted, but their network remains. We need to dismantle their remaining influence and ensure they cannot regroup. Rimuru's expression was resolute. We've made significant progress, but this battle isn't over. We'll continue to fight and protect the city from the Syndicate's dark ambitions. As they prepared to face the next phase of their mission, the city of Tengu remained on edge. The Syndicate's threat had been temporarily subdued, but the challenges ahead were formidable. The trio's alliance was stronger than ever, and their resolve was unshakable as they continued their fight against the darkness threatening their world. Chapter 6. Fractures in the Darkness. The Echo of Victory. With the ritual's immediate threat neutralized, Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki regrouped in the aftermath of the factory battle. The factory, once a hub of dark magic and sinister plotting, now lay eerily quiet. The dark energy that had pervaded the space was dissipating, leaving behind only the remnants of the Syndicate's failed ritual. Rimuru surveyed the scene with a practiced eye. We've made a significant impact, but we can't afford to rest on our laurels. The Syndicate won't take this setback lightly. They'll regroup and try again if we don't act quickly." Kurumi nodded, her gaze lingering on the deactivated dark crystal. "The artifact is neutralized for now, but we need to ensure it can't be reactivated or replicated. I'll work on containing it and safeguarding it from further misuse." Satsuki, her face a mask of determination, added, "Our work isn't done yet. The Syndicate's network is extensive, and their reach is deep. We need to dismantle their infrastructure and sever their ties with other factions." The trio's resolve was palpable. They understood that while they had won a crucial battle, the war against the Syndicate was far from over. The hidden network, their next move, involved a systematic approach to unraveling the Syndicate's network. Satsuki's infiltration had revealed key figures within the Syndicate, but there were still unknown elements and potential allies working behind the scenes. Satsuki focused on tracing the Syndicate's connections to influential individuals and organizations within Tengu. Her knowledge of the city's power dynamics allowed her to identify potential points of influence and pressure. Each lead she followed brought them closer to understanding the full scope of the Syndicate's operations. Kurumi, meanwhile, worked on fortifying the containment of the dark crystal. She used her knowledge of ancient magic to create protective wards and seals, ensuring that the artifact could not be used or accessed by unauthorized individuals. Her efforts were crucial in preventing any further escalation of the Syndicate's plans. Rimuru took a different approach, using his abilities to scan for lingering magical signatures and disturbances throughout the city. His goal was to identify any residual traces of dark magic and prevent the Syndicate from regrouping or launching new operations. A glimmer of hope as days turned into weeks, the trio made significant progress. Satsuki's investigations revealed several high-profile individuals with covert ties to the Syndicate. These figures were either directly involved in the organization or provided financial and logistical support. Kurumi's containment efforts had successfully neutralized the threat posed by the dark crystal, and she had established safeguards to prevent any future misuse of similar artifacts. Her work provided a sense of security, knowing that they had mitigated one of the most immediate threats. Rimuru's scans had revealed a network of smaller operations and hidden cells scattered throughout the city. While these cells were not as powerful as the main Syndicate, they represented potential threats that needed to be addressed. The trio convened to discuss their findings and plan their next steps. Their progress had been substantial, but they knew that the Syndicate's reach was extensive, and their ability to strike back was not to be underestimated. Confrontation and revelation. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the city, Rimuru received an urgent communication. An anonymous source had provided information about a secret meeting of the Syndicate's remaining leaders. The meeting was set to take place in a secluded location, away from prying eyes. The trio quickly prepared for the operation. Satsuki used her connections to acquire intel about the meeting's location and security measures. Kurumi's expertise in stealth and magical concealment would be crucial in infiltrating the meeting, while Rimuru's readiness for confrontation ensured they would be prepared for any resistance. As they approached the meeting location, a heavily fortified mansion on the outskirts of the city, they were met with an imposing sight. Guards patrolled the perimeter, and magical wards glowed with dark energy, signaling the Syndicate's heightened security. Kurumi led the way, her form blending seamlessly into the shadows. She disabled the magical wards with precision, allowing Rimuru and Satsuki to follow without detection. The trio made their way into the mansion, their presence undetected. Inside, the meeting was in full swing. Syndicate leaders, their faces hidden behind masks, discussed their plans with a sense of urgency. Their conversation revealed that the ritual was only a small part of a larger scheme involving multiple factions and powerful artifacts. Satsuki and Kurumi, hidden in the shadows, listened intently as the leaders revealed their next move, a coordinated attack on key locations in the city, designed to create chaos and force the city's defenses into disarray. Rimuru, positioned strategically, prepared for the confrontation. The information they had gathered was invaluable, but their next actions would be critical in preventing the Syndicate's plans from coming to fruition. A new resolve as the meeting concluded and the Syndicate leaders began to disperse, Rimuru and his allies prepared for the confrontation. They knew that their next steps would be crucial in determining the outcome of their battle against the Syndicate. Kurumi's expertise in magical concealment and Rimuru's combat prowess were key to their strategy. Satsuki's intelligence and connections provided them with the necessary leverage to disrupt the Syndicate's plans and ensure that their remaining leaders could be apprehended. The night was filled with anticipation as the trio moved into position, their resolve unshaken by the challenges ahead. The city of Tengu lay at a crossroads, and the trio's actions would determine its fate. The battle against the syndicate was far from over, but the trio's unity and determination gave them hope. Their next move would be critical in dismantling the syndicate's network and ensuring that their dark plans were thwarted. As they prepared for the confrontation, the city of Tengu remained a battleground of intrigue and danger. The stakes had never been higher, and the trio's resolve to protect their world was stronger than ever. Chapter 7. The Breaking Point: A Night of Shadows. The night cloaked the city of Tengu in darkness, its streets bathed in an eerie silence. Within the heavily fortified mansion on the outskirts, Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki prepared for a critical confrontation. Their mission was clear: disrupt the syndicate's plans and apprehend their remaining leaders before they could execute their coordinated attack on key city locations. Kurumi, ever the master of stealth, had successfully disabled the mansion's magical wards, allowing them to enter undetected. Her eyes glinted with determination as she led the way through the labyrinthine corridors of the mansion. Satsuki followed closely, her mind racing with the implications of the information they had gathered. Rimuru took up the rear, his senses finely tuned to detect any signs of magical or physical threats. He moved with a purpose, his presence a silent promise of impending action. As they approached the meeting room, the sound of muffled voices grew louder. The syndicate leaders were gathered inside, their conversation punctuated by the occasional burst of dark energy. The trio stopped outside the door, each mentally preparing for the confrontation ahead. Infiltration and disruption. Kurumi signaled for silence and pressed her ear against the door, listening intently. The leaders' conversation was urgent, their voices laced with frustration and determination. "It's imperative that the attack is executed precisely," one of the leaders said. "We've already lost valuable time, and the city's defenses are strengthening. If we don't strike soon, our opportunity will slip away." "The artifacts must be activated simultaneously," another leader added. "The convergence will only be successful if we manage to breach the city's core defenses." Kurumi's eyes narrowed. The leaders were discussing a coordinated assault on multiple key locations within Tengu, designed to create chaos and overwhelm the city's defenses. The implications of their plan were dire, and the urgency to act was clear. With a nod, Kurumi motioned for Rimuru and Satsuki to follow her. They moved quickly, slipping into the meeting room with practiced precision. The room was a large, dimly lit chamber, filled with an assortment of dark artifacts and magical symbols. The syndicate leaders, clad in ornate robes and masks, were engaged in their planning. Rimuru's presence was immediately felt as he stepped into the room. The leaders turned, their eyes widening in alarm. The confrontation was imminent. "The clash begins." The syndicate leaders reacted swiftly, their magical defenses flaring to life as they prepared to defend themselves. Dark energy crackled around them, forming barriers and summoning reinforcements. Rimuru wasted no time. He unleashed a barrage of magical attacks, shattering the leaders' defenses and forcing them on the defensive. His combat prowess was unmatched, his movements fluid and precise as he engaged the leaders. Kurumi, with her expertise in shadow manipulation, used the cover of darkness to her advantage. She silently incapacitated the syndicate's reinforcements, her attacks swift and lethal. Her presence was a blur of shadows, each strike designed to incapacitate without causing unnecessary harm. Satsuki, leveraging her knowledge of the syndicate's internal politics, targeted key figures within the organization. She used her cunning and strategic thinking to create chaos among the leaders, exploiting their overconfidence and driving a wedge between them. Despite their best efforts, the syndicate leaders struggled to regain control. Rimuru's overwhelming power and Kurumi's stealth attacks dismantled their defenses, while Satsuki's strategic disruptions further weakened their position. The turning point: the battle reached a critical juncture as the leaders realized the severity of their situation. Their attempts to counter Rimuru's attacks were futile, and their magical barriers began to falter. One of the leaders, a tall figure shrouded in dark robes, stepped forward with a desperate resolve. "We cannot afford to lose here. Activate the contingency plan." The leader's command was met with a flurry of activity as the remaining operatives scrambled to initiate a backup ritual. The chamber was soon filled with swirling dark energy, the air charged with a menacing aura. Kurumi's eyes widened as she recognized the ritual's intent. "They're initiating a backup convergence. We have to stop them before it's too late." Rimuru nodded, his focus sharp as he intensified his attacks. With a powerful surge of magical energy, he shattered the dark energy formations surrounding the chamber, disrupting the backup ritual and preventing it from reaching completion. The aftermath as the dark energy dissipated and the chamber fell silent, the remaining syndicate leaders were subdued. The once formidable organization now lay in ruins, their plans thwarted by the trio's combined efforts. Kurumi approached Rimuru and Satsuki, her expression a mix of relief and determination. We've managed to stop their immediate plans, but we need to ensure that the remaining factions are dealt with. The syndicate's influence is still a threat. Satsuki nodded in agreement. We've gathered enough information to dismantle their network, but it will require coordinated efforts and careful planning. We need to address any remaining threats and prevent any resurgence. Rimuru's gaze was resolute. Our fight isn't over yet. We've made significant progress, but there's still work to be done. We'll continue to monitor the situation and ensure that the syndicate's remaining influence is eradicated. The trio's resolve was unwavering as they prepared for the next phase of their mission. The city of Tengu remained a battleground, and their efforts were crucial in safeguarding it from the darkness that sought to engulf it. As the night wore on, the trio stood united, their determination to protect their world stronger than ever. The battle against the syndicate had reached a pivotal moment, and their combined efforts would determine the fate of Tengu and its inhabitants. Chapter 8. The last stand gathering storm with the syndicate's immediate plans disrupted. Tengu seemed to take a breath as its imminent threat was temporarily halted. However, beneath the surface, the struggle continued. The syndicate's network, though significantly weakened, still had threads connecting it to influential figures and potential allies across the city. In the aftermath of their confrontation with the syndicate leaders, Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki regrouped at their temporary headquarters, a secure, nondescript building that served as their base of operations. Rimuru, studying the map of the city spread out before him, traced the remaining points of interest. We've made considerable progress, but we need to address the remaining factions and ensure that there are no lingering threats. The syndicate's influence might still be in play. Kurumi, who had been meticulously cataloging the artifacts and magical components recovered from the mansion, nodded in agreement. The dark crystal was just one piece of a larger puzzle. We need to ensure that none of the remaining artifacts can be used against us. Satsuki, having compiled intelligence on the syndicate's remaining operatives, shared her findings. The syndicate's network is more dispersed than we thought. There are several key figures still active in the city, and their influence extends to various sectors. We need to strike at these points to fully dismantle their operations. A web of deceit. The trio's strategy involved a multi-pronged approach. Satsuki's task was to continue her infiltration efforts, identifying and neutralizing key figures who had remained hidden. Her ability to navigate the city's power structures and manipulate information would be crucial in breaking the syndicate's remaining influence. Kurumi focused on securing the artifacts and ensuring that any dark magic left in the city was neutralized. Her expertise in magical containment and protection was essential in preventing any further misuse of dark energy. Rimuru, using his abilities to scan for magical disturbances, worked to uncover any hidden threats and prevent any remaining syndicate operatives from regrouping. His power and vigilance were key in maintaining the city's safety. Unveiling the hidden threat as they executed their plan, Satsuki uncovered a crucial piece of intelligence, a hidden safe house where the syndicate's remaining leaders were regrouping. This safe house, located in an old industrial district, was well protected and concealed by powerful magical wards. Satsuki, using her skills to bypass security measures, reported back to Rimuru and Kurumi. The safe house is heavily fortified. The leaders are planning their final move, likely an attempt to consolidate their power and strike back. We need to act quickly to prevent them from regrouping and launching a final assault. Kurumi, having completed her protective measures on the artifacts, agreed. We need to disrupt their operations before they can execute their plan. I'll work on neutralizing any magical defenses around the safe house, while Rimuru can handle the direct confrontation. Rimuru nodded, his resolve unwavering. Let's proceed. We'll infiltrate the safe house, deal with the remaining leaders, and ensure that the syndicate's threat is fully eradicated. The final assault. Under the cover of darkness, the trio made their way to the safe house. The area was heavily guarded, with magical wards and physical security measures in place. Kurumi used her expertise to disable the magical wards, creating a path for Rimuru and Satsuki to enter the building undetected. Inside, The atmosphere was tense. The remaining syndicate leaders, their faces obscured by masks, were in the midst of planning their final strike. They were unaware of the impending confrontation, their focus on consolidating their power and preparing for their last stand. As Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki entered the safe house, the leader's alarms were triggered. The syndicate's remaining operatives sprang into action, attempting to defend their position and repel the intruders. Rimuru took the lead, his presence commanding and his attacks precise. He engaged the operatives with a combination of overwhelming force and strategic prowess, quickly turning the tide of the battle in their favor. The syndicate's defenses, already weakened from previous encounters, crumbled under his assault. Kurumi moved with calculated efficiency, using her abilities to incapacitate operatives and dismantle any remaining magical barriers. Her focus was on neutralizing threats and ensuring that the safe house's defenses were breached. Satsuki, leveraging her strategic insights, targeted key figures within the syndicate's leadership. Her actions created confusion and discord among the leaders, further destabilizing their efforts to mount an effective defense. The final confrontation reached its climax as Rimuru faced the syndicate's remaining leaders. The battle was fierce, with dark magic and powerful attacks clashing in a dramatic display of energy. Despite their formidable defenses, the leaders were no match for Rimuru's power and the combined efforts of Kurumi and Satsuki. As the last of the syndicate leaders fell, the safe house was secured. The once formidable organization was now in ruins, their plans thwarted and their influence dismantled. Kurumi and Satsuki joined Rimuru as they surveyed the aftermath. The safe house was now a shell of its former self, the dark energy that had once permeated it dissipated. "We've done it," Kurumi said, her voice filled with a mix of relief and exhaustion. "The syndicate's threat is finally over." Satsuki nodded, her expression one of satisfaction. "We've dismantled their operations and neutralized their influence. The city is safe for now." Rimuru, his gaze resolute, addressed his allies. "Our mission is complete, but we must remain vigilant. There will always be threats lurking in the shadows. We've proven that we can overcome them, and we'll continue to protect this city and its people." As the dawn broke over Tengu, the city began to awaken to a new sense of hope. The darkness that had threatened to engulf it had been pushed back, thanks to the efforts of Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki. The trio's bond was stronger than ever, forged through their shared struggles and victories. Their fight against the syndicate had been arduous, but it had solidified their resolve to safeguard their world from any future threats. As they looked out over the city, they knew that their work was far from over. The battle against the forces of darkness was a continuous struggle, but with their combined strength and unwavering determination, they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Chapter 9. Echoes of the Past, a time for reflection. With the syndicate dismantled and Tengu's immediate threat neutralized, Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki took a moment to regroup and reflect on their journey. The city, now free from the shadow of the syndicate, began to heal from the turmoil that had gripped it. The trio gathered in their headquarters, a space now quieter than it had been during their intense battle. Kurumi, having recovered from the magical strain of their recent encounters, took a seat at a table strewn with documents and reports. Rimuru, sitting opposite her, studied the data with a thoughtful expression. "We've accomplished a lot, but we need to ensure that the remnants of the syndicate's influence are fully eradicated. There are still many threads to untangle." Satsuki, reviewing the intelligence reports, nodded in agreement. The syndicate's reach was extensive. Although we've neutralized their major operations, there are still minor factions and individuals who could pose a threat if left unchecked. Kurumi's gaze softened as she looked up from her notes. "We should also consider the impact of our actions on the city. The people of Tengu have been through a lot, and we need to address their concerns and rebuild trust." The trio's shared resolve was clear. Their victory over the syndicate was only the beginning of their efforts to restore peace and stability to the city. Whispers from the past as they continued their work. Rimuru received an unexpected visit from an old acquaintance. The visitor, a wise and enigmatic figure from his past, arrived with a solemn expression. This figure had been a mentor and guide, providing crucial insights during Rimuru's earlier adventures. The visitor, a sage known for their deep understanding of magical and mystical phenomena, greeted Rimuru with a respectful nod. "Rimuru, it's been a long time. I've been following your recent activities with great interest. The battle against the syndicate was impressive." Rimuru returned the nod with a mix of respect and curiosity. It's good to see you. Your guidance was instrumental in my previous endeavors. What brings you to Tengu? The sage's expression grew serious. There are lingering concerns that I need to address. The dark energy that the syndicate harnessed was only a part of a larger, more intricate web. There are ancient forces at play that we must remain vigilant against. Kurumi and Satsuki, sensing the gravity of the conversation, joined the discussion. Kurumi's eyes met the sage's with a mixture of intrigue and apprehension. What ancient forces are you referring to? The sage explained, the syndicate's dark rituals were merely a manifestation of a deeper, more ancient magic. There are forces beyond our current understanding that seek to exploit and manipulate such power. We must be prepared for any residual effects or new threats that may arise. Unraveling mysteries. The sage's visit sparked a renewed sense of urgency among the trio. They knew that their victory over the syndicate was not the end of their journey but rather a transition into a new phase of their mission. Satsuki took charge of investigating the ancient forces mentioned by the sage. Her research led her to delve into forgotten tomes and ancient texts, uncovering references to mystical entities and artifacts of immense power. Kurumi focused on analyzing any residual dark energy in the city. She used her knowledge of magical containment to ensure that no traces of the syndicate's influence remained and that the city's magical balance was restored. Rimuru, using his ability to sense magical disturbances, monitored the city for any signs of emerging threats. His vigilance was crucial in detecting and neutralizing any potential dangers before they could escalate. A new threat emerges. As the trio worked to address the lingering threats, they encountered a new and unexpected challenge. Mysterious occurrences began to surface throughout Tengu. Unexplained magical anomalies, sudden bursts of dark energy, and unsettling disturbances. One evening, as Rimuru was conducting his routine scan of the city, he detected a significant magical disturbance originating from an abandoned temple on the outskirts of Tengu. The disturbance was unlike anything they had encountered before. A powerful and ancient energy that resonated with the forces mentioned by the sage. Kurumi and Satsuki joined Rimuru as they investigated the source of the disturbance. The abandoned temple, overgrown and neglected, stood as a testament to forgotten times. The air around it crackled with an ominous energy. As they approached the temple, they discovered signs of recent activity, strange symbols etched into the ground and traces of dark energy that seemed to pulse with a malevolent intent. Ancient forces awakened inside the temple. The atmosphere was thick with a sense of foreboding. The trio navigated the labyrinthine corridors, guided by the powerful magical signature that resonated through the ancient structure. In the heart of the temple, they uncovered a hidden chamber, a place of deep mystical significance. The chamber contained an ancient altar and a series of mystical runes that seemed to be linked to the disturbances they had been investigating. As they examined the altar, the chamber was suddenly engulfed in a surge of dark energy. A powerful entity, long dormant, began to awaken. The entity's presence was overwhelming, a manifestation of the ancient forces the sage had warned them about. Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki braced themselves for the confrontation. The entity's power was formidable, and the stakes had never been higher. The battle that lay ahead would test their resolve and challenge their abilities in ways they had not anticipated. Preparing for the unknown. As the ancient entity stirred, the trio prepared for the confrontation with a sense of determination and unity. Their previous battles had forged their strength and resolve, and they were ready to face this new challenge together. Kurumi focused on neutralizing the dark energy emanating from the entity, using her expertise in magical containment to mitigate its effects. Satsuki prepared strategies to exploit any weaknesses in the entity's defenses, while Rimuru readied himself for the direct confrontation. The city of Tengu, still recovering from the syndicate's influence, now faced a new and ancient threat. The trio's efforts to protect their world were more crucial than ever as they prepared to confront the forces that had lain hidden for centuries. As they stood united against the encroaching darkness, they knew that their journey was far from over. The battle against the ancient entity would be a defining moment in their quest to safeguard their world from the forces that sought to unravel it. With resolve and determination, Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki prepared to face the challenges ahead, knowing that their actions would shape the fate of Tengu and the world beyond. Chapter 10. The Awakening. The entity's emergence. The hidden chamber within the abandoned temple thrummed with an intense, pulsating energy. The ancient altar, once a relic of a forgotten age, now served as the focal point for the dark entity's awakening. Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki stood poised, their senses attuned to the ominous power that began to stir. The entity emerged from the shadows, its form a swirling mass of darkness and raw magical energy. It seemed to defy conventional shape and structure, its presence both alien and intimidating. The chamber's walls vibrated with the entity's awakening, and an oppressive atmosphere filled the space. Rimuru stepped forward, his eyes narrowing as he assessed the entity. This is unlike anything we've faced before. It's ancient, and its power is immense. Kurumi, her gaze sharp and focused, began to work on containing the dark energy. I'll try to stabilize the area and limit its power. We need to keep it from fully manifesting. Satsuki, her mind racing with strategic calculations, began to analyze the entity's behavior. If we can identify its weaknesses or disrupt its focus, we might be able to gain the upper hand. As the entity's form solidified, it emitted a low, resonant growl, a sound that seemed to penetrate the very core of their beings. The air crackled with dark energy, and the chamber's runes began to glow with an eerie light. The first clash with a sudden burst of energy, the entity unleashed a wave of dark magic toward the trio. Rimuru reacted swiftly, creating a protective barrier to shield them from the onslaught. The force of the attack was immense, and the chamber shook with the impact. Kurumi, her focus unwavering, used her shadow manipulation to redirect the entity's dark energy. Her shadows wove through the chamber, absorbing and dispersing the malevolent force. I'm stabilizing the energy, but we need to act quickly before it becomes too powerful. Satsuki analyzed the runes and the entity's movements, trying to identify any patterns or weaknesses. The runes seemed to be channeling the energy. If we can disrupt them, we might weaken the entity. Rimuru, sensing the entity's vulnerabilities, charged forward with a powerful magical attack. His energy surged through the chamber, striking the entity with a force that caused it to waver. The dark mass roiled and writhed, its form destabilized by the impact. Disrupting the runes, Kurumi's shadows continued to absorb and counteract the entity's dark energy, creating openings for Rimuru's attacks. Satsuki focused on the runes, using her knowledge to decipher their function and find a way to disrupt their influence. With a determined effort, Satsuki used a combination of magical and physical techniques to alter the runes. Her actions caused the glowing symbols to flicker and dim, their power weakening in response. As the runes lost their potency, the entity's form began to distort. The once solid darkness became more fluid, and its attacks became less coordinated. Rimuru seized the opportunity, unleashing a concentrated barrage of magical energy that struck at the heart of the entity. The entity roared in fury, its form writhing and thrashing as it struggled against the combined assault. The chamber's walls cracked and splintered under the strain, but the trio's focus remained unwavering. The turning tide with the runes disrupted and the entity weakened, the tide of the battle began to turn. Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki pressed their advantage, their coordinated efforts pushing the entity to its limits. Kurumi's shadows wrapped around the entity, constricting and binding its movements. Her control over the dark energy became a crucial element in preventing the entity from regrouping. Satsuki continued to analyze and adapt, her strategic insights guiding their attacks. We're making progress. The entity's resistance is diminishing. Keep up the pressure. Rimuru, channeling his full power, prepared for a decisive strike. His energy surged with intense brilliance, focused and concentrated to deliver a final blow. This is it. Let's end this. As Rimuru unleashed his most powerful attack, the entity's form convulsed and shattered. The dark energy that had once dominated the chamber was expelled, and the entity's presence began to dissolve. The aftermath with a final, resounding burst of energy, the entity was vanquished. The chamber fell silent, the oppressive atmosphere lifting as the dark energy dissipated. The runes, now inert, no longer glowed with their malevolent light. Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki stood amidst the remnants of the battle, their expressions a mix of relief and exhaustion. The ancient threat had been neutralized, but the toll of the confrontation was evident. Kurumi, catching her breath, remarked, "We managed to contain and defeat it. The chamber is stable now, but we need to ensure that the residual dark energy is fully eradicated." Satsuki, examining the aftermath, nodded. "We've addressed the immediate threat, but we should continue to monitor the city for any lingering effects or new disturbances." Rimuru, his gaze resolute, addressed his allies. "We've faced a formidable challenge and emerged victorious. Our work isn't over, but we've taken a significant step in safeguarding Tengu from the forces that seek to disrupt its peace. As they left the temple, the dawn began to break over Tengu, casting a new light on the city. The battle against the ancient entity had been a pivotal moment in their journey, and their determination to protect their world remained steadfast. The trio's bond was stronger than ever, forged through their shared struggle and triumph. As they prepared to continue their efforts, they knew that their vigilance would be crucial in maintaining the balance and safety of their world. With the ancient threat vanquished, Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki faced the future with renewed resolve, ready to confront any challenges that lay ahead and ensure that Tengu remained a beacon of hope and stability. Chapter 11. Resurgence of Shadows, Echoes of Darkness. The defeat of the ancient entity had brought a temporary calm to Tengu, but beneath the surface, a new threat began to stir. The city's recovery was underway, with Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki working diligently to ensure that the dark energies had been fully eradicated. However, reports of unusual occurrences started to surface: strange phenomena, inexplicable disappearances, and an increase in dark magical disturbances. The trio knew that the ancient entity's defeat might have been only the beginning of a deeper, more insidious problem. Kurumi, who had been analyzing the residual magical traces, sensed a troubling anomaly. The dark energy we encountered has left traces that are not entirely gone. There's something more at play here, something we haven't yet fully understood. Satsuki, reviewing recent incidents and gathering intelligence, noted a pattern. The disturbances seemed to be concentrated around areas where the ancient entity's influence was strongest. It's possible that its defeat has destabilized certain magical balances, creating vulnerabilities that others might exploit. Rimuru, his expression thoughtful, addressed his team. We need to investigate these new disturbances and find out if they're connected. It's possible that someone or something is trying to take advantage of the situation. An unseen foe, the trio decided to focus on one of the areas experiencing heightened disturbances, a district known for its historical significance and once a center of magical research. The area, now largely abandoned, held secrets that might shed light on the current situation. As they arrived in the district, the atmosphere was thick with an unsettling energy. The buildings, once majestic, were now dilapidated and overgrown. The air was heavy with a sense of foreboding. Satsuki took the lead, using her strategic insights to navigate through the district. We need to be cautious. This area has a history of being tied to dark magical practices, and the recent disturbances might be related to something hidden here. Kurumi extended her senses to detect any residual dark magic. There's a significant concentration of dark energy coming from a subterranean location. It seems like there might be something hidden beneath the surface. Rimuru, focusing on his magical detection abilities, scanned the area for any unusual signatures. Let's proceed carefully. We don't know what we might encounter down there. Beneath the surface, the trio descended into the depths of the district, following the trail of dark energy to a hidden underground chamber. The chamber was filled with ancient relics, tomes, and arcane symbols, remnants of a bygone era. In the center of the chamber stood a large, ominous pedestal, upon which rested a dark artifact, an ancient and powerful object that seemed to emanate a palpable malevolence. The artifact was encased in magical wards, its presence causing the surrounding air to crackle with dark energy. Kurumi approached the artifact with caution. This artifact seems to be a source of the disturbances. It's bound by powerful magical wards, but we need to neutralize it to prevent further issues. Satsuki examined the runes surrounding the artifact. The wards are complex and intricate. Disrupting them will require precision and a deep understanding of the magic involved. Rimuru, assessing the artifact's power, noted the potential danger. We need to act quickly. If the artifact is activated or its wards are breached, it could unleash a significant amount of dark energy. A new player as Kurumi and Satsuki worked to neutralize the wards. An unexpected presence made itself known. A figure cloaked in dark robes emerged from the shadows, their face obscured by a hood. The figure's aura radiated a potent and unsettling power. The figure spoke with a voice that echoed with a disquieting resonance. You've been quite thorough in your efforts, but you've overlooked the true purpose of the artifact. Its power is not merely a threat, it's a key. Rimuru, his gaze fixed on the figure, demanded, "Who are you, and what do you want with this artifact?" The figure revealed a sinister smile. "I am known as Moros, and I seek to harness the artifact's power to reshape this world." The dark energy you've been fighting is but a fragment of a greater design. With this artifact, I will bring about a new era. Kurumi, her expression resolute, interjected, "We won't let you use this artifact for your plans. It's already caused enough harm." Satsuki, focusing on her strategic approach, analyzed Moroz's intentions. If Moroz intends to use the artifact to reshape the world, we need to stop him before he can complete his ritual. The battle for the artifact. Moroz, with a swift and calculated motion, began to activate the artifact's wards, channeling dark energy into it. The chamber's atmosphere became increasingly volatile as the artifact's power surged. Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki engaged Moroz in a fierce confrontation. Rimuru used his abilities to counteract the dark energy and protect his allies. Kurumi employed her shadow manipulation to disrupt Moroz's magic and attempt to neutralize the artifact's influence. Satsuki, leveraging her strategic insights, targeted Moroz's vulnerabilities, seeking to disrupt his focus and hinder his control over the artifact. "We need to dismantle the ritual before it's complete. Keep the pressure on him." The battle was intense, with Moroz's dark magic clashing against Rimuru's powerful energy. The chamber shook with each exchange of attacks, and the artifact's power threatened to spiral out of control. Despite their efforts, Moroz managed to complete the ritual's initial phase. The artifact's energy reached a critical level, and a dark vortex began to form, threatening to engulf the chamber in its malevolent force. The final confrontation. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki intensified their efforts. Rimuru focused on stabilizing the chamber and countering the artifact's energy, while Kurumi worked to contain the dark vortex and prevent its expansion. Satsuki, analyzing the artifact's activation, discovered a crucial detail. The artifact's power is being channeled through specific runes. If we can disrupt these runes, we might be able to halt the ritual and neutralize the vortex. With renewed determination, the trio combined their strengths. Rimuru unleashed a concentrated burst of energy, disrupting the artifact's activation. Kurumi used her shadows to dismantle the runes, while Satsuki coordinated their efforts and provided strategic guidance. The artifact's energy began to wane, and the dark vortex began to collapse. Moroz, realizing the battle was slipping away, attempted a final desperate strike. Rimuru, with unwavering resolve, countered Moroz's attack, ensuring that the artifact's power was neutralized. Aftermath and revelation. With a final surge of energy, the artifact was deactivated, and the dark vortex dissipated. Moroz, defeated and incapacitated, was left powerless. The chamber, once filled with darkness, now stood in a state of uneasy calm. Kurumi, catching her breath, addressed the group. "We've neutralized the artifact and stopped Moroz's plans. But this encounter has revealed a deeper threat, one that's connected to ancient forces we have yet to fully understand." Satsuki, examining the artifact's remnants, nodded in agreement. Moroz's intentions were just a part of a larger design. "We need to investigate further to uncover the full scope of this threat and prevent any future dangers." Rimuru, his expression resolute, turned to his allies. "Our fight is far from over. We've faced a significant challenge, but there are more mysteries to uncover and threats to address. We'll continue to protect our world and confront whatever comes our way." As they emerged from the underground chamber, the city of Tengu awaited their continued vigilance. The battle against the dark forces was evolving, and the trio's determination to safeguard their world remained unwavering. With the immediate threat neutralized, Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki prepared to delve deeper into the mysteries of the ancient forces and confront any new challenges that lay ahead. Their journey was far from over, but their resolve and unity would guide them through the trials to come. Chapter 12. Shadows of the Past. The calm before the storm. In the aftermath of their battle with Moroz and the ancient artifact, Tengu began to stabilize. The city was slowly returning to normal, with repairs underway and the citizens beginning to rebuild their lives. The trio, Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki, took this time to regroup and analyze the recent events. They reconvened at their headquarters, now a hub of activity, as they coordinated their efforts to address the city's recovery. Despite the apparent calm, there was an undercurrent of tension. The disturbances they had faced were merely symptoms of a deeper, more intricate threat. Kurumi, poring over the data from their recent battle, looked up with a thoughtful expression. "We've managed to contain the immediate dangers, but there are still unanswered questions. The artifact's power was substantial, and its connection to the ancient forces remains unclear. Satsuki, analyzing recent magical disturbances and reports, agreed. We need to dig deeper into the origins of the artifact and its connection to the forces Moros was trying to manipulate. There's a pattern here that we haven't fully unraveled. Rimuru, reflecting on their encounters, added, the artifact wasn't just a tool, it was a key to something much larger. We need to understand the bigger picture and find out what other forces might be at play. Unearthing the past, their investigation led them to delve into historical records and ancient texts related to the artifact and the forces it had been connected to. Satsuki used her strategic skills to identify significant historical events and figures that might provide clues. The records pointed to an ancient order known as the Luminara, a group dedicated to guarding against dark forces and maintaining balance in the magical realms. Their archives contained references to powerful artifacts and magical entities, some of which had been sealed away due to their immense danger. Kurumi's magical expertise revealed a hidden connection between the Luminara and the artifact. The Luminara were involved in sealing away several powerful artifacts, including the one we encountered. Their knowledge could be crucial in understanding the broader context of the threat we're facing. Satsuki found a reference to a hidden Luminara sanctuary, a place where they had kept their most dangerous secrets. The sanctuary might hold answers to the questions we have. It could also provide insights into other artifacts or forces that the Luminara were concerned about. The trio decided to investigate the sanctuary, believing it might hold the key to understanding the ancient forces and their implications for the present. Journey to the sanctuary. The journey to the hidden Luminara sanctuary took them to a remote and treacherous location, an ancient forest shrouded in mist and secrecy. The sanctuary was rumored to be concealed by powerful wards and illusions, making it nearly impossible to find without specific knowledge. Kurumi led the way, using her skills to detect and counteract the magical barriers that concealed the sanctuary. The wards are intricate, but with careful manipulation, we should be able to breach them. Satsuki, scanning the surroundings for any additional threats, remained vigilant. We need to be prepared for any defenses or traps the sanctuary might have. The Luminara were known for their vigilance. Rimuru, ever observant, focused on sensing any magical anomalies or disturbances. We should expect the unexpected. The sanctuary is likely protected by powerful enchantments. After a challenging trek through the forest, they arrived at the sanctuary, a grand, ancient structure hidden within a secluded glen. The architecture was awe-inspiring, with towering spires and intricate carvings that reflected the sanctuary's long history. Within the sanctuary, inside the sanctuary, the atmosphere was both awe-inspiring and foreboding. The walls were lined with ancient tomes, artifacts, and mystical symbols. The air was thick with the weight of centuries of magical knowledge and history. The trio began to explore the sanctuary, searching for any clues or records related to the artifact and the ancient forces. Kurumi focused on examining the magical wards and protective spells that safeguarded the sanctuary's most important areas. Satsuki discovered a hidden chamber, its entrance concealed behind a magical barrier. This might be where the Luminara kept their most critical information. We need to access it to uncover any relevant details. Rimuru, using his abilities to sense magical energy, detected a powerful source of energy emanating from within the hidden chamber. There's a strong magical signature coming from inside. It's likely that important information or artifacts are contained there. As they entered the hidden chamber, they were greeted by a vast repository of knowledge. The chamber contained ancient scrolls, tomes, and artifacts, all meticulously preserved. In the center of the chamber was a large, ornate pedestal holding a crystal orb, a focal point of magical power and knowledge. Unveiling the truth, Kurumi approached the pedestal and examined the crystal orb. This orb might hold valuable information or records related to the ancient forces and artifacts. We should be cautious, though, it could be protected by powerful enchantments. Satsuki began to analyze the orb and its magical properties, seeking a way to unlock its contents. The orb is bound by protective spells. We need to decipher the enchantments to access the information. Rimuru stood watch, his senses alert for any signs of danger. Stay sharp. The sanctuary's defenses might still be active, and we don't know what else might be hidden here. As Satsuki worked to unravel the orb's enchantments, it gradually revealed its contents. The orb projected a holographic display of ancient texts and images, detailing the history of the Luminara and their efforts to combat dark forces. The information uncovered revealed that the artifact they had encountered was part of a set of powerful relics created to combat a malevolent force known as the Eclipsed One. The Eclipsed One was an ancient entity of immense power, sealed away by the Luminara to prevent its influence from spreading. The orb also contained details about other artifacts and magical entities connected to the Eclipsed One. The knowledge provided crucial insights into the nature of the threats they were facing and the broader context of their struggle. Planning the next move with the newfound knowledge, Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki returned to Tengu with a renewed sense of purpose. The revelations about the Eclipsed One and the associated artifacts had shifted their focus to a larger and more complex challenge. Kurumi reviewed the information from the orb, noting the connections between the artifacts and the Eclipsed One. We need to locate and secure the remaining artifacts to prevent anyone from using them to awaken or influence the Eclipsed One. Satsuki, integrating the new information into their strategic plans, added, "We also need to be prepared for any additional threats or challenges that might arise as we search for these artifacts. The Eclipsed One's influence could extend beyond what we've encountered so far." Rimuru, reflecting on their next steps, addressed his allies. "Our path is now clear. We need to gather the remaining artifacts and understand their role in the larger scheme of things. Our goal is to prevent the Eclipsed One from returning and ensure that Tengu and the world are safe." As they prepared for their next mission, the trio knew that their journey was far from over. The ancient forces they had uncovered were a formidable challenge, but their determination and unity would guide them through the trials ahead. The shadows of the past had resurfaced, and the battle to protect their world had taken on a new and daunting dimension. With resolve and readiness, Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki set forth to confront the growing threats and secure the future of Tengu. Chapter 13. A Rift in Reality: The Hidden Threat. As Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki prepared to confront the threat of the Eclipsed One, their focus shifted towards the artifacts that needed to be secured. The recent discoveries had illuminated the dangerous nature of their mission. However, the weight of their task became more apparent as mysterious anomalies continued to arise around Tengu. Rimuru sat in his study, reviewing the latest reports of disturbances. "The magical anomalies we've been monitoring are becoming more frequent and intense. It's as if reality itself is being affected." Kurumi, scanning through magical readings, looked up with concern. The disturbances seemed to be originating from multiple points around the city, all converging towards a central location. "We need to investigate these anomalies before they escalate." Satsuki, analyzing the data and strategic implications, added, "If these anomalies are connected to the artifacts or the Eclipsed One, they could be creating rifts in reality. These rifts might be weakening the barriers between different realms or dimensions." Rimuru nodded. "Let's focus on locating the central source of these disturbances. If there's a rift forming, it could be a significant threat to both Tengu and the entire world." Investigating the anomalies, the trio set out to investigate the locations where the anomalies were strongest. They followed the magical disturbances, each site revealing increasing levels of instability. The areas were marked by distorted reality, anomalies that caused bizarre phenomena, such as gravity fluctuations, temporal distortions, and spatial anomalies. Kurumi used her shadow manipulation to stabilize the affected areas and mitigate the immediate effects of the disturbances. "These anomalies are causing significant disruptions. We need to identify the source and address it before it leads to a full-scale rift." Satsuki, applying her analytical skills, identified a pattern in the disturbances. The anomalies are converging towards an abandoned research facility on the outskirts of the city. It might be the epicenter of these disturbances. Rimuru, using his senses to detect magical energy, confirmed the source. "We need to investigate this facility. It might be the key to understanding and resolving the anomalies." The research facility, the abandoned research facility, once a hub of magical experimentation, now stood in ruins. Its advanced architecture was overgrown with vegetation, and the atmosphere was thick with a lingering, malevolent energy. As they entered the facility, the air was filled with an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional creak of the structure. The facility's interior was cluttered with broken equipment, scattered documents, and remnants of magical experiments. Kurumi's shadows illuminated their path as they navigated through the facility. The facility's magical wards are still active, though they've weakened over time. We need to be careful of any residual traps or defenses. Satsuki examined the scattered documents and found records of the facility's research. These records detail experiments with dimensional magic and rift manipulation. It looks like they were trying to harness or stabilize rifts, but something must have gone wrong. Rimuru, focusing on the facility's magical energy, sensed a powerful source of distortion. There's a concentrated magical energy emanating from below. We should head down to investigate further. Descending into the depths, the trio descended into the facility's lower levels, where the magical energy was strongest. The subterranean area was filled with complex machinery, magical conduits, and a large, glowing rift at its center. The rift was a swirling vortex of distorted reality, its edges flickering with erratic energy. Kurumi observed the rift with apprehension. This rift is unstable and growing. It's likely connected to the disturbances we've been seeing around the city. Satsuki, analyzing the rift's properties, noted the complexity of the situation. The rift appears to be a tear in the fabric of reality. The energy readings suggest that it's linked to both the artifact and the eclipsed one's influence. Rimuru, assessing the situation, addressed his allies. We need to stabilize the rift and prevent it from expanding. If it continues to grow, it could tear through multiple dimensions and unleash chaos. Stabilizing the rift, Kurumi used her shadow manipulation to contain the rift's energy and stabilize its fluctuations. Her shadows wove around the rift, attempting to mitigate the distortions and prevent further expansion. Satsuki applied her strategic knowledge to identify a method to close the rift. We need to reverse the dimensional energies that are sustaining the rift. There should be a control mechanism or an enchantment that can help us. Rimuru focused on neutralizing the rift's energy with his own magical abilities. I'll use my energy to counteract the rift's influence and stabilize it from within. As they worked together, the rift's energy began to stabilize. Rimuru's magic, combined with Kurumi's shadow manipulation and Satsuki's strategic adjustments, gradually closed the rift. The facility's machinery hummed as the rift's energy was neutralized and absorbed. With a final surge of power, the rift was closed, and the facility's magical anomalies subsided. The intense energy that had once filled the space was now replaced by a calm, stable atmosphere. Revelations and consequences. With the rift closed and the immediate threat neutralized, the trio took stock of their situation. The research facility, though damaged, had provided valuable insights into the nature of the rift and its connection to the eclipsed one. Kurumi, reviewing the facility's remaining records, reflected on their findings. The experiments conducted here were ambitious, but they also revealed the dangers of tampering with dimensional magic. The rift was a result of these experiments going awry. Satsuki, integrating the new information into their strategic plans, noted the implications. The rift's destabilization was a significant threat, but it also provided us with clues about the eclipsed one's influence and the artifacts. We need to be prepared for any further disturbances. Rimuru, addressing his allies, concluded, "We've made significant progress in understanding the nature of the threats we're facing. The rift was a crucial challenge, but it's also a reminder of the broader dangers we need to confront. Our mission to secure the artifacts and prevent the eclipsed one's influence from spreading continues." As they left the facility, the city of Tengu was slowly returning to normal. The trio's efforts had prevented a major catastrophe, but they knew that their journey was far from over. The shadows of the past and the threats of the present were intertwined, and their resolve to protect their world remained unshaken. With the rift stabilized and new insights gained, Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki prepared for the challenges ahead. Their determination to safeguard Tengu and confront the growing threats would guide them as they continued their quest to protect their world from the forces that sought to disrupt its balance. Chapter 14. Whispers of the Abyss: An Unexpected Visitor. In the days following the stabilization of the rift, the city of Tengu began to settle into a semblance of normalcy. However, the trio remained on high alert, knowing that the closure of the rift had only addressed part of the threat. The artifacts and their connection to the eclipsed one continued to be a primary concern. One evening, as Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki were reviewing their recent findings and planning their next steps, a mysterious figure arrived at their headquarters. The figure was cloaked in dark robes, their face obscured by a hood that cast deep shadows over their features. The visitor's sudden appearance was marked by an unsettling calm, and an aura of foreboding surrounded them. The trio regarded the figure with a mixture of curiosity and caution. Rimuru, his gaze fixed on the intruder, addressed them. "State your business. Who are you, and what brings you to us?" The figure spoke in a voice that was both smooth and chilling. I am called Arian, a seeker of knowledge and a guardian of secrets. I come with a warning and an offer of assistance. Kurumi, her expression guarded, asked, a warning about what? And why should we trust you? Arian's voice was filled with a cryptic undertone. The rift you closed was only a fragment of a greater disturbance. The Eclipsed One's influence is spreading, and a deeper, darker force is emerging. I can offer you guidance and insights into these threats, but you must first understand the true nature of what you face. Satsuki, always strategic, evaluated Arian's presence. If what you say is true, we need to understand the nature of this deeper threat. What kind of assistance are you offering? Arian stepped closer, revealing a faint glimmer of knowledge in their eyes. I have access to ancient texts and forbidden knowledge that could help you understand the full extent of the Eclipsed One's influence. However, this knowledge comes at a cost, secrets that should not be taken lightly. The knowledge revealed after some deliberation, the trio agreed to hear Arian out, understanding that any additional information could be crucial. They gathered in a secure room within their headquarters, where Arian began to reveal their insights. Arian produced an ancient tome, its cover adorned with arcane symbols and worn by age. This tome contains records of the Eclipsed One's origins and the dark forces associated with it. It also details the actions of the Luminara and their struggles against these entities. Kurumi examined the tome with fascination. If this contains the knowledge we need, it could provide crucial insights into our next steps. Satsuki, reviewing the content, noted the gravity of the information. The tome describes the Eclipsed One as an entity of pure darkness, capable of corrupting and consuming entire realms. Its influence extends beyond mere magical threats. It can warp reality itself. Rimuru listened intently as Arian explained the nature of the dark forces and their connection to the artifacts. The Eclipsed One is bound by ancient seals, but its influence is spreading through the artifacts. If we don't act quickly, its power could grow uncontrollable. Arian also mentioned an important detail. There is an artifact known as the Abyssal Key, a key to unlocking the Eclipsed One's full potential. If this artifact falls into the wrong hands, it could unleash catastrophic consequences. A new mission with the revelation of the Abyssal Key and the deeper threat posed by the Eclipsed One, Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki realized the urgency of their mission. They needed to find and secure the Abyssal Key before it could be used to amplify the dark forces. Arian, sensing their resolve, provided them with a lead. The Abyssal Key is rumored to be hidden within the depths of an ancient ruin, lost to time and obscured by powerful enchantments. The ruin is located in a remote and dangerous region, but it is the most likely place to find the key. Satsuki, analyzing the strategic implications, outlined their approach. We need to prepare for a challenging journey. The ruin will likely be protected by ancient defenses and possibly other entities seeking the Abyssal Key. Kurumi, readying herself for the task, confirmed the need for caution. We should gather all necessary resources and information before setting out. This mission could be one of the most perilous we've faced. Rimuru, addressing his team, concluded, we have a clear objective now. Our mission is to locate the Abyssal Key, secure it, and prevent it from being used to unleash the Eclipsed One's full power. Let's prepare ourselves for the challenges ahead and ensure that we're ready for whatever awaits us. Preparing for the journey, the trio spent the following days preparing for their expedition to the ancient ruin. They gathered supplies, researched the region's geography and potential threats, and strategized their approach to the ruin. Arian, before departing, offered a final piece of advice. The ancient ruin is a place of great power and danger. Trust in your abilities, but also be wary of the forces that might seek to thwart your mission. The Abyssal Key is a coveted artifact, and others may be drawn to it as well. As Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki set out for their journey, they felt a mixture of anticipation and apprehension. The path to the ancient ruin would test their skills and resolve, but their commitment to protecting their world and preventing the Eclipsed One's return drove them forward. The journey to the ruin was fraught with challenges, but their determination remained unshaken. The knowledge and warnings provided by Arian would guide them as they faced the trials ahead. With the Abyssal Key's location revealed, the trio ventured into the unknown, ready to confront the dark forces and uncover the secrets that lay within the ancient ruin. Their quest to safeguard their world continued, and the stakes had never been higher. Chapter 15. The Labyrinth of Echoes, the Desolate Path. The journey to the ancient ruin began with a trek through a desolate and treacherous landscape. The terrain was rugged and inhospitable, marked by jagged rocks, deep ravines, and a persistent, eerie mist that obscured their vision. As Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki advanced, the atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive. Satsuki, mapping out their route with precision, noted, "The region is plagued by natural hazards, but it's also likely that magical defenses are in place. We need to stay vigilant." Kurumi, her shadows extending to probe their surroundings, added, "The mist is interfering with our magical senses. I'll need to use my abilities to clear it and reveal any hidden threats." Rimuru, scanning the area for magical disturbances, felt a growing sense of unease. "We're nearing the site of the ancient ruin. We should be prepared for any surprises or traps that may await us." Their progress was slow, but their determination drove them forward. As they reached the edge of the ruin's entrance, they encountered an enormous stone gateway, covered in ancient runes and overgrown with vines. The entrance to the labyrinth, the stone gateway, led to a massive labyrinth, its entrance shrouded in shadows and mystery. The labyrinth's walls were etched with intricate patterns, and the air inside was thick with ancient magic. The labyrinth was known as the Labyrinth of Echoes, a place where the echoes of past events and powerful enchantments created a disorienting and perilous environment. Kurumi, using her shadows to explore the labyrinth's depths, noted, "The labyrinth is designed to confuse and mislead intruders. We need to rely on our abilities and stay focused to navigate through it." Satsuki, analyzing the labyrinth's layout, observed, "The patterns on the walls might indicate hidden passages or traps. We should be cautious of any changes in the environment." Rimuru, using his magical senses, detected fluctuations in the labyrinth's energy. "There are magical wards and enchantments in place. We'll need to be prepared for sudden shifts in the labyrinth's structure." As they ventured into the labyrinth, they were met with an array of challenges. The maze seemed to shift and change, creating an ever-changing landscape. Illusions and traps tested their skills and resolve, but their teamwork and determination allowed them to navigate the labyrinth's treacherous paths. Encounters and challenges. The deeper they ventured into the labyrinth of echoes, the more intense the challenges became. They faced magical illusions that distorted reality, causing them to question their perceptions. At one point, they encountered an enchanted barrier that required them to solve a complex puzzle to proceed. Kurumi's shadows played a crucial role in deciphering the puzzle and bypassing the barrier. The puzzle seems to be tied to the labyrinth's magic. Solving it will require a combination of intellect and magical manipulation. Satsuki, analyzing the puzzle's structure, provided strategic guidance. "We need to align the magical symbols and channels in the correct sequence to deactivate the barrier." Rimuru used his abilities to assist in solving the puzzle and countering the labyrinth's enchantments. "I'll use my magic to stabilize the energy flows and make the puzzle easier to solve." With their combined efforts, they successfully deactivated the barrier and continued their journey through the labyrinth. Along the way, they encountered remnants of ancient traps and magical defenses, each more challenging than the last. The heart of the labyrinth. After hours of navigating the labyrinth's twists and turns, the trio reached the heart of the Labyrinth of Echoes, a vast chamber filled with an otherworldly glow. At its center stood an ancient pedestal, upon which rested the Abyssal Key, glowing with dark, pulsating energy. The chamber was surrounded by towering statues and magical inscriptions, all contributing to the chamber's ominous atmosphere. The Abyssal Key was suspended above the pedestal, protected by a powerful barrier of dark magic. Kurumi, examining the chamber, noted, "The Abyssal Key is heavily guarded. The barrier is designed to prevent anyone from accessing it without triggering a defense mechanism." Satsuki, analyzing the magical inscriptions, deduced, "The inscriptions suggest that the barrier will activate if we attempt to approach the key directly. We need to find a way to neutralize or bypass the barrier." Rimuru, sensing the magical energy surrounding the key, concluded, "We'll need to work together to counteract the barrier's enchantments and secure the Abyssal Key. Let's approach this methodically." Securing the Abyssal Key, the trio approached the pedestal with caution, using their combined abilities to neutralize the barrier's enchantments. Kurumi's shadows extended to counteract the dark magic, while Satsuki deciphered the inscriptions to identify the correct sequence to disable the barrier. Rimuru focused on stabilizing the magical energy and providing support. "We need to be precise. Any mistake could trigger the defense mechanisms and jeopardize our mission." As they worked to disable the barrier, the chamber was filled with a series of magical fluctuations and shifting energies. The Abyssal Key's dark glow intensified, and the chamber resonated with the echoes of ancient power. Kurumi, using her shadows to manipulate the barrier, successfully neutralized its effects. The barrier is weakening. We should be able to retrieve the key now. With the barrier deactivated, Satsuki carefully approached the pedestal and retrieved the Abyssal Key. We have the key. Now we need to exit the labyrinth and ensure its safety. The trio retraced their steps through the labyrinth, navigating the now familiar pathways and overcoming any remaining challenges. The labyrinth's enchantments had been disrupted by their actions, making their exit slightly less perilous. As they emerged from the labyrinth, the sun was rising over the desolate landscape. The ancient ruin, though still imposing, was now behind them, and the Abyssal Key was securely in their possession. Rimuru, reflecting on their success, addressed his allies. We've secured the Abyssal Key, but our mission is far from over. We need to ensure the key's safety and prepare for the next steps in our fight against the Eclipsed One. Kurumi, examining the key, agreed. The key's dark energy is potent. We need to protect it from falling into the wrong hands and understand its role in the larger scheme of things. Satsuki, planning their next moves, added, our immediate goal is to return to Tengu and analyze the Abyssal Key. We need to understand its properties and implications before taking further action. As they made their way back to Tengu, the trio knew that their journey was far from over. The threats they faced were growing, and the Abyssal Key was a critical piece in the puzzle of their struggle against the dark forces. With their resolve strengthened and the key in hand, Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki prepared for the next phase of their mission. The challenges ahead would test their strength and unity, but their determination to protect their world and confront the Eclipsed One remained unwavering. Chapter 16. Unveiling the Abyss returned to Tengu. Upon their return to Tengu, Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki were greeted with a sense of relief and anticipation. The city, though still recovering from the recent disturbances, seemed to brace itself for the next phase of their mission. The Abyssal Key was a crucial artifact, and its implications were becoming increasingly significant. The trio made their way to their headquarters, where they planned to conduct a thorough analysis of the Abyssal Key. The headquarters had been fortified with magical wards and protections, ensuring a secure environment for their work. Kurumi, placing the Abyssal Key on a special enchantment table, observed its dark, pulsating energy. The key's aura is intense. We need to proceed with caution while examining its properties. Satsuki, preparing to analyze the key's magical attributes, added, we should document all findings and consult any available resources that can provide insights into its origin and function. Rimuru, observing the key and considering their next steps, addressed his allies. Understanding the Abyssal Key's nature is critical. If it has the potential to unlock the Eclipsed One's power, we need to be prepared for any eventuality. Deciphering the key, the trio began their examination of the Abyssal Key, employing various magical techniques and tools to unravel its secrets. Kurumi's shadows helped to stabilize the key's energy, while Satsuki utilized her knowledge of ancient magical scripts to decode inscriptions. Rimuru, using his advanced magical senses, detected subtle changes in the key's energy patterns. The key seems to be connected to an ancient form of dark magic. Its power appears to be dormant but can be activated under certain conditions. Kurumi, analyzing the inscriptions on the key, noted, the script references an ancient ritual that involves aligning the key with specific cosmic energies. This could be the mechanism through which the Eclipsed One's influence is unleashed. Satsuki, cross-referencing the key's attributes with historical records, provided additional insights. The Abyssal Key was believed to be a tool of immense power, used by ancient entities to manipulate reality. It's essential that we fully understand its activation process to prevent it from being used against us. As they delved deeper into their analysis, they discovered that the Abyssal Key was indeed a powerful artifact with the potential to breach dimensional barriers and unleash dark forces. The key's true nature and the extent of its power remained a significant concern. A new threat emerges while the trio focused on the Abyssal Key. A new threat began to surface in Tengu. Reports of unusual activities and sightings of shadowy figures led to growing unease among the city's inhabitants. It became apparent that the presence of the Abyssal Key had attracted unwanted attention. Satsuki, analyzing the new reports, observed, there's an increase in magical disturbances and sightings of shadowy entities. It's likely that others are seeking the Abyssal Key or trying to exploit its power. Kurumi, using her shadows to investigate the sightings, reported, "There are traces of dark magic around the city, and the entities appear to be searching for something. We need to address this threat to ensure the key's safety." Rimuru, sensing the escalating danger, decided on a course of action. "We need to bolster the city's defenses and investigate these shadowy figures. They could be working for the Eclipsed One or have their own agenda." Bolstering defenses, the trio took immediate steps to enhance the city's defenses. They worked with local mages and enforcers to strengthen magical wards, set up detection systems, and prepare for any potential attacks. Kurumi's shadows were used to patrol key areas of the city, ensuring that any breaches or intrusions were detected quickly. Satsuki coordinated with local authorities to increase vigilance and readiness. Rimuru, utilizing his vast magical abilities, created additional protective barriers around critical locations, including their headquarters and the site where the Abyssal Key was stored. "We need to ensure that the key remains secure and that the city is prepared for any threats." As they worked to bolster the city's defenses, they also sought to uncover the motives behind the shadowy figures and their interest in the Abyssal Key. The threat posed by these entities was becoming increasingly apparent, and their actions needed to be addressed swiftly. Confronting the shadows one evening, as Kurumi's shadows reported unusual activity in an abandoned sector of the city, the trio decided to investigate. The area was shrouded in darkness, and the atmosphere was heavy with magical tension. As they approached the source of the disturbances, they encountered a group of shadowy figures, their forms shifting and merging with the darkness. These entities were cloaked in dark robes and emanated a palpable sense of malevolence. Satsuki, analyzing the situation, prepared for a strategic engagement. "These figures are likely operatives seeking the Abyssal Key. We need to neutralize them and gather any information about their motives." Kurumi, her shadows extending to envelop the figures, engaged them in battle. "Their dark magic is potent, but we can contain and counter it with our combined abilities." Rimuru, utilizing his own powerful magic, joined the fight. "We need to gather as much information as possible and ensure that they don't succeed in their mission." The battle was intense, with the shadowy figures demonstrating formidable dark magic. The trio fought with precision and determination, using their unique abilities to overcome the threat. Uncovering the motives after defeating the shadowy figures, the trio searched their remains and discovered clues about their motives. They found documents and symbols indicating a connection to a faction known as the Shadow Cult, a group dedicated to harnessing dark magic and seeking powerful artifacts. Kurumi, examining the documents, revealed important information. The Shadow Cult seeks the Abyssal Key to amplify their dark powers and gain control over the Eclipsed One's influence. They believe that possessing the key will give them unparalleled power. Satsuki, analyzing the symbols and documents, concluded, "The cult's objectives align with the threats we've been facing. They pose a significant risk to our mission and to the safety of the city." Rimuru, considering the new threat, addressed his allies. "We need to intensify our efforts to secure the Abyssal Key and prevent the Shadow Cult from achieving their goals. Their interest in the key is a dangerous development." Preparing for the next phase with the revelation of the Shadow Cult's intentions, the trio knew that their mission had become even more critical. They needed to stay vigilant and prepared for any attempts by the cult to seize the Abyssal Key or disrupt their efforts. Kurumi, Satsuki, and Rimuru continued their preparations, reinforcing the city's defenses and strategizing their next moves. They knew that their fight against the dark forces was far from over, and the challenges they faced would test their resolve and unity. As they prepared for the next phase of their mission, the trio remained focused on their ultimate goal: to protect Tengu, secure the Abyssal Key, and prevent the Eclipsed One's influence from spreading further. Their determination to confront the growing threats and safeguard their world drove them forward, ready to face the dangers that lay ahead. Chapter 17. The Echoing Darkness: A New Strategy. With the Shadow Cult now a known threat, Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki gathered to reassess their strategy. The information they had gathered from the defeated shadowy figures provided a clearer picture of the cult's goals and methods. Rimuru addressed his allies with a determined expression. "The Shadow Cult's pursuit of the Abyssal Key is a serious threat. We need a plan to secure the key and counter any attempts by the cult to exploit its power." Kurumi, analyzing the recent events, suggested, "We should increase our intelligence efforts. Identifying the cult's operatives and their activities will be crucial in preempting their plans." Satsuki, considering the broader implications, added, "Additionally, we need to fortify our defenses and establish a network of allies. If the cult is as dangerous as it seems, we may need additional support." The trio agreed that their strategy needed to be multifaceted. They decided to focus on gathering intelligence, fortifying their defenses, and seeking alliances to strengthen their position. Gathering intelligence. The first step in their strategy was to enhance their intelligence operations. Kurumi utilized her shadow abilities to infiltrate areas where cult activity was suspected. She gathered information discreetly, identifying potential hideouts and points of interest. Meanwhile, Satsuki coordinated with local informants and magical experts to gather additional insights into the cult's activities. They discovered that the shadow cult was operating from several hidden bases and had infiltrated various sectors of the city. Rimuru, using his magical senses, helped identify areas of increased magical activity and potential threats. He also worked on creating magical wards and detection systems to monitor for any signs of the cult's presence. Fortifying defenses. As they worked to gather intelligence, Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki also focused on fortifying the city's defenses. They strengthened magical barriers and established protective wards around key locations, including their headquarters and the site where the Abyssal Key was stored. Kurumi's shadows were employed to create a network of surveillance, ensuring that any breaches or suspicious activities were detected promptly. Satsuki worked with local authorities to enhance security measures and prepare for any potential attacks. Rimuru, utilizing his vast magical abilities, created additional layers of protection around the Abyssal Key. We need to ensure that the key remains secure and that we're prepared for any direct confrontations with the cult. The trio also established a rapid response team, ready to mobilize at a moment's notice. Their goal was to ensure that any threat from the shadow cult was addressed quickly and effectively. Seeking alliances. Recognizing the need for additional support, the trio reached out to potential allies. They contacted influential figures and organizations with an interest in combating dark forces and preserving the balance of their world. Satsuki, leveraging her connections, arranged meetings with key allies, including powerful mages, local leaders, and influential figures within the magical community. They discussed the growing threat posed by the shadow cult and sought their support in addressing the danger. Kurumi, using her shadow network, reached out to individuals with knowledge of ancient magic and artifacts. She sought their expertise in understanding the Abyssal Key and countering the dark magic associated with it. Rimuru, employing his diplomatic skills, negotiated alliances with various factions, emphasizing the importance of unity in the face of the impending threat. Our combined efforts will be crucial in securing the Abyssal Key and protecting our world from the shadow cult's ambitions. The process of forging alliances was challenging, but their efforts resulted in a network of support that bolstered their position and resources. A precarious balance. As Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki continued their preparations, the city of Tengu remained on edge. The shadow cult's activities and the recent disturbances had heightened tensions among the populace. The trio worked tirelessly to maintain a sense of stability and ensure that the city was prepared for any eventuality. The Abyssal Key, now secured within a heavily fortified chamber, remained a focal point of their efforts. The trio knew that its protection was paramount, and any attempt to breach its defenses would be met with a coordinated and decisive response. Satsuki, reflecting on their progress, acknowledged the gravity of their situation. "We've made significant strides, but the threat of the shadow cult and the potential dangers of the Abyssal Key are still very real. We need to stay vigilant and ready for any new developments." Kurumi, preparing for the next phase of their mission, agreed. "Our efforts to gather intelligence and fortify our defenses have strengthened our position, but we must continue to anticipate and address any threats that arise." Rimuru, considering their overall strategy, reinforced the importance of their mission. "Our goal is to protect the Abyssal Key and prevent the shadow cult from achieving their objectives. We must remain united and resolute in the face of the challenges ahead." The calm before the storm. As the days passed, the city of Tengu experienced a temporary lull in disturbances. The enhanced defenses and vigilant preparations had provided a semblance of calm, but the trio knew that this tranquility was likely to be fleeting. Kurumi, reviewing the latest intelligence reports, noted a decrease in shadowy activity. "It seems that the cult has temporarily withdrawn, but this could be a strategic move rather than a retreat." Satsuki, analyzing the situation, concurred. The lull in activity might be an opportunity for the cult to regroup and plan their next move. We need to remain alert and prepared for any sudden developments. Rimuru, reflecting on their progress, emphasized the need for ongoing vigilance. We've made significant progress, but our mission is far from over. We need to stay prepared for any new threats and continue to safeguard the Abyssal Key. The trio remained on high alert, aware that the Shadow Cult's ambitions were far from extinguished. As they continued their preparations and strengthened their defenses, they braced themselves for the inevitable challenges that lay ahead. The calm before the storm was a deceptive respite, and the trio knew that the true test of their resolve and unity was yet to come. Chapter 18. The Gathering Storm, the cult's new strategy. Despite the apparent calm in Tengu, the Shadow Cult was far from idle. The cult's leaders had been meticulously plotting their next move, using the lull to their advantage. Their goal was to create a diversion and exploit any weaknesses in the city's defenses. In a hidden chamber, deep within one of the cult's secret bases, a dark figure, cloaked in shadows, addressed the assembled cult members. Our attempts to obtain the Abyssal Key directly have been thwarted. It is time to escalate our strategy. We shall create chaos within Tengu to distract our enemies and seize the key amidst the turmoil. A senior cult operative, draped in ominous robes, voiced his concern. Our resources are limited, and the city's defenses are formidable. How do we ensure our plan succeeds without exposing ourselves to undue risk? The dark figure's eyes glinted with malice. We will leverage our influence and sow discord within the city. By inciting internal conflict and manipulating key individuals, we can weaken their defenses and create an opening for our forces. Additionally, we will use dark enchantments to mask our presence and mislead their efforts. The cult's disruption. As the cult prepared to execute their plan, Tengu experienced a series of inexplicable disturbances. Reports of mysterious phenomena, such as sudden surges in dark energy and unexplained magical disruptions, began to surface. Satsuki, monitoring the city's magical activity, noticed the irregularities. The disturbances are intensifying. It appears that the Shadow Cult is orchestrating a series of magical disruptions to test our defenses and create confusion. Kurumi, using her shadow network, confirmed the presence of dark enchantments that were interfering with their magical wards. The cult's dark magic is disrupting our monitoring systems. We need to identify the source of these disturbances and counteract them. Rimuru, sensing the growing danger, convened an emergency meeting with Kurumi and Satsuki. The cult is clearly trying to create chaos and find weaknesses in our defenses. We need to bolster our countermeasures and investigate the disturbances before they can escalate further. Investigating the disruptions, the trio began their investigation into the source of the disturbances, following leads and clues that pointed to various locations within the city. They discovered that the cult had established hidden nodes of dark magic designed to amplify their influence and disrupt the city's magical equilibrium. Kurumi, utilizing her shadows, located several of these dark nodes and neutralized them. These nodes are siphoning magical energy and amplifying dark enchantments. I'll dismantle them and restore balance to the city's magical flow. Satsuki, coordinating with local mages, worked to stabilize the city's magical wards and counter the effects of the cult's disruptions. We need to reinforce our protective barriers and ensure that our defenses can withstand further attacks. Rimuru, using his advanced magical senses, detected an unusual concentration of dark energy emanating from a specific area of the city. There's a significant buildup of dark magic coming from an underground location. We should investigate further. A hidden threat. Following the energy readings, the trio traced the source of the dark magic to an abandoned underground facility. The facility was filled with arcane machinery and dark enchantments, indicating its use as a base for the Shadow Cult. As they explored the facility, they encountered a series of magical traps and defenses designed to thwart intruders. Rimuru, using his magical abilities, neutralized the traps and cleared the way for their progress. Kurumi, examining the facility's magical infrastructure, identified key components of the cult's dark enchantments. The facility is equipped with powerful dark magic artifacts. These are likely being used to amplify the cult's influence and disrupt our defenses. Satsuki, analyzing the facility's layout, discovered a central control chamber. There's a high concentration of magical energy coming from this chamber. It's likely the source of the disturbances we've been experiencing. Confronting the cult, the trio entered the central control chamber and found several cult operatives performing a dark ritual to enhance their magical influence. The room was filled with dark energy, and the operatives were surrounded by arcane symbols and artifacts. The lead cult operative, sensing their presence, addressed the trio with a menacing tone. "You dare intrude upon our sanctum? Your efforts to secure the Abyssal Key are futile. The chaos we've created will weaken your defenses and pave the way for our victory." Kurumi, preparing for battle, responded firmly, "We will not allow you to destabilize our city or achieve your goals. Your plans end here." Satsuki, assessing the situation, readied her defenses. "We will stop your ritual and dismantle your dark enchantments. The Abyssal Key will remain secure." Rimuru, using his powerful magic, joined the confrontation. "This ends now. Prepare to face the full extent of our strength." The battle in the control chamber was intense. The cult operatives fought fiercely, using dark magic to counter the trio's efforts. Kurumi's shadows and Rimuru's magic clashed with the cult's dark enchantments, while Satsuki provided strategic support and countered their attacks. Despite the cult's formidable defenses, the trio worked together seamlessly, using their combined abilities to overwhelm their opponents. Kurumi's shadows ensnared the cult members, while Satsuki's magic neutralized their dark enchantments. Rimuru's powerful spells dealt decisive blows to the cult's forces. In a climactic moment, Rimuru unleashed a powerful spell that shattered the central control chamber's dark enchantments. The ritual was interrupted, and the dark energy dissipated. Aftermath and reflection with the cult operatives defeated and the dark enchantments neutralized, the trio began to assess the damage and secure the facility. The shadow cult's disruption efforts had been thwarted, but the encounter revealed the depth of their resolve and capabilities. Kurumi, surveying the aftermath, commented, "We've managed to counter the cult's immediate threat, but their plans are far from over. We need to stay prepared for their next move." Satsuki, analyzing the facility's remaining artifacts, added, "The dark magic artifacts we've encountered are powerful. We should ensure they are properly contained and studied to prevent future threats." Rimuru, reflecting on their recent battles, concluded, "Our efforts to secure the Abyssal Key and protect the city are ongoing. We've made progress, but we need to remain vigilant and ready for the challenges ahead." As they returned to Tengu, the trio knew that the shadow cult's ambitions would not be easily extinguished. Their resolve to protect their world and confront the growing threats remained steadfast, and they prepared for the next phase of their mission with determination and unity. Chapter 19. The Shattered Illusions: A Surge of Darkness. In the wake of their recent battle, the city of Tengu began to experience an unsettling calm. While the immediate threat of the shadow cult's disruptions had been quelled, a new and more insidious threat began to surface. The shadows seemed to whisper, and a palpable sense of dread began to permeate the air. Satsuki, analyzing the magical energies, detected subtle yet troubling anomalies. The disturbances have ceased, but there's a lingering darkness that suggests something more insidious is at play. It feels like a prelude to a greater threat. Kurumi, her shadows probing the city's edges, reported, "There are unusual fluctuations in magical energy, and I've detected an increase in shadowy figures appearing at night. It's as if the shadows themselves are coming alive." Rimuru, sensing the growing unease, gathered his allies for an urgent meeting. "The calm we're experiencing might be a deceptive lull. We need to investigate these anomalies and ensure that no further threats are emerging." The illusionists' game, the source of the new threat, was revealed when a series of mysterious disappearances and hallucinations began to plague Tengu. Residents reported seeing unsettling visions and experiencing disorienting phenomena. The atmosphere grew tense as fear and paranoia spread. Kurumi, investigating the phenomenon, discovered that the shadow cult had employed a powerful illusionist to manipulate reality and instill fear. This illusionist, a master of mind magic, was creating a web of illusions designed to destabilize the city and create chaos. Satsuki, analyzing the effects of the illusions, concluded, "The illusionist's magic is sophisticated. It's designed to exploit the fears and insecurities of the populace, making it difficult to distinguish between reality and illusion." Rimuru, assessing the situation, decided to confront the illusionist. "We need to locate the illusionist and put an end to their manipulations. Restoring the city's sense of reality is crucial for maintaining order." Unveiling the illusions with their plan in place, the trio began their search for the illusionist. Kurumi's shadows scoured the city for any traces of the illusionist's presence, while Satsuki used her magical knowledge to identify areas affected by the illusions. Their investigation led them to an abandoned mansion on the outskirts of Tengu. The mansion, shrouded in darkness and mystery, appeared to be the illusionists' base of operations. The area was filled with disorienting magical effects, making it challenging to navigate. Rimuru, using his advanced senses, detected the illusionists' presence within the mansion. The illusions are centered around this location. We need to proceed carefully and counteract the illusionists' magic. As they entered the mansion, they were immediately enveloped in a series of intricate illusions. The mansion seemed to shift and change, creating false paths and confusing their senses. Kurumi, using her shadows to pierce through the illusions, guided the trio through the maze-like interior. The illusions are designed to disorient and mislead us. We need to stay focused and rely on our senses to find the illusionist. Satsuki, countering the illusions with her own magical expertise, maintained a protective barrier to shield them from the disorienting effects. We need to stay vigilant and resist the illusionists' attempts to manipulate our perceptions. Confronting the illusionist after navigating the maze of illusions, the trio finally reached the illusionist's chamber. The illusionist, a figure cloaked in dark robes and surrounded by swirling magical energies, awaited them with a sinister smile. The illusionist spoke with a voice that seemed to echo from all directions. "You've managed to find me amidst my illusions. Impressive, but you are too late. The seeds of chaos have already been sown, and your city will crumble under the weight of its own fears." Kurumi, preparing for battle, responded with determination. "We will not allow you to continue spreading fear and discord. Your illusions end here." Satsuki, analyzing the illusionist's magical aura, prepared her countermeasures. "We'll dismantle your illusions and restore order to the city. Your plans will not succeed." Rimuru, stepping forward with a resolute expression, declared, "Your power over illusions is impressive, but it won't be enough to defeat us. Prepare to face the consequences of your actions." The confrontation began, with the illusionist using powerful illusions to attack and disorient the trio. They faced shifting realities and deceptive images, but their combined abilities and determination allowed them to resist the manipulations. Kurumi's shadows countered the illusionist's attacks, while Satsuki's magic dispelled the illusions. Rimuru used his advanced magic to target the illusionist directly, breaking through the illusions and striking at the heart of the dark magic. Restoring reality with a decisive strike, Rimuru shattered the illusionist's magical focus, breaking the spell and dispelling the illusions. The mansion's distorted reality returned to normal, and the illusionist fell, defeated. Kurumi, surveying the scene, commented, "The illusions are gone, but we need to address the aftermath and ensure that the city's inhabitants recover from the psychological effects." Satsuki, analyzing the remnants of the illusionist's magic, agreed. "We should provide support to the affected residents and work to restore their sense of normalcy." Rimuru, reflecting on the recent events, emphasized the importance of their mission. "The illusionist's defeat is a significant step forward, but we must remain vigilant. The shadow cult's threats are ongoing, and we need to continue our efforts to protect the city and secure the Abyssal Key." As the trio worked to address the aftermath of the illusionist's attack, they knew that their mission was far from over. The shadow cult's machinations were complex and dangerous, and they remained steadfast in their resolve to confront the threats and safeguard their world. Chapter 20. The final gambit. A new threat emerges. In the aftermath of the illusionist's defeat, Tengu began to recover from the psychological scars left by the illusions. The city's defenses were reinforced, and efforts to restore normalcy continued. However, a new and even more ominous threat began to take shape. Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki were in their headquarters, reviewing the recent developments. The atmosphere was tense as they discussed the next steps in their ongoing battle against the shadow cult. Kurumi, her face etched with concern, reported, "We've received reports of increased dark energy fluctuations from multiple locations. It seems the shadow cult is preparing something major, possibly a final gambit." Satsuki, analyzing the data, added, "The patterns suggest that they're consolidating their forces and preparing for a large-scale operation. We need to be ready for whatever they're planning." Rimuru, feeling the weight of the situation, concluded, "We've faced numerous challenges, but this could be their most dangerous move yet. We need to gather our allies, fortify our defenses, and prepare for a decisive confrontation." The cult's plan unfolds. The shadow cult, led by its enigmatic leader, was finalizing its plan to seize the Abyssal Key. Their objective was to create a massive surge of dark energy to breach the city's defenses and take control of the key. The leader, a figure of immense dark power, addressed the assembled cult members. "The time has come to execute our final plan," the leader declared. "We will unleash a catastrophic surge of dark energy to break through Tengu's defenses. Once the city is in chaos, we will seize the Abyssal Key and fulfill our ultimate goal." The cult members, shrouded in dark robes and murmuring with anticipation, prepared for the execution of the plan. They gathered powerful artifacts and prepared to channel a massive amount of dark energy. Mobilizing for the final battle, Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki knew that they needed to act swiftly to counter the cult's plan. They contacted their allies, rallying them for the impending battle. Satsuki organized a defensive strategy, deploying magical wards and reinforcing the city's protective barriers. "We need to ensure that the city's defenses are at their peak. Any breach could lead to disaster." Kurumi, coordinating with her network of shadows, gathered intelligence on the cult's movements and identified key targets. The cult's energy sources and key personnel need to be neutralized to prevent their plan from succeeding. Rimuru, preparing for the confrontation, utilized his magical abilities to enhance their defenses and prepare for an all-out battle. "Our goal is to disrupt the cult's ritual and protect the Abyssal Key. We need to be prepared for a fierce conflict." The cult's assault. As the cult initiated their final gambit, a massive surge of dark energy erupted from their hidden base. The energy began to crackle and pulse, creating a barrier of darkness that threatened to engulf the city. Kurumi, detecting the surge, warned her allies. "The cult's energy surge is underway. They're channeling dark energy to breach the city's defenses." Satsuki, coordinating the defense, activated the magical wards and reinforced the barriers. "We need to hold the line and prevent the energy from penetrating our defenses. We must also locate and neutralize the source of the surge." Rimuru, leading the charge, used his powerful magic to counter the dark energy and protect the city. "We'll confront the cult directly and stop their plan from reaching its climax." The battle began as the cult unleashed waves of dark energy and summoned shadowy creatures to attack the city. The trio and their allies fought valiantly to repel the assault and protect the key. The clash with the cult leader. As the battle raged, Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki located the cult's leader, who was orchestrating the energy surge from a hidden chamber. The leader, a figure of immense power and dark presence, confronted them with a menacing aura. The cult leader spoke with a voice that resonated with dark authority. "You have fought bravely, but it is too late. The power of the Abyssal Key will soon be mine, and your efforts will be in vain." Rimuru, stepping forward with resolve, replied, "We will not let you succeed. Your dark ambitions end here." Kurumi, preparing for the final confrontation, added, "We'll dismantle your plan and ensure the safety of the city and the Abyssal Key." Satsuki, analyzing the leader's magical energy, readied her defenses. "We've fought hard to get to this point. We'll see this through to the end." The battle with the cult leader was fierce and intense. The leader wielded powerful dark magic and summoned formidable creatures to fight alongside them. Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki fought with all their strength, utilizing their combined abilities to counter the leader's attacks. Turning the tide, the clash reached its climax as Rimuru unleashed a powerful, decisive attack that disrupted the leader's dark magic and shattered the energy surge. Kurumi's shadows immobilized the leader's minions, while Satsuki's magic created a protective barrier to shield them from the leader's final assault. With a final, powerful spell, Rimuru struck at the heart of the cult leader's dark magic, breaking their control over the energy surge. The leader, overwhelmed and defeated, collapsed as the dark energy dissipated. Kurumi, surveying the aftermath, commented, "The cult's plan has been thwarted. The city's defenses held, and the Abyssal Key remains secure." Satsuki, assessing the situation, added, "We've prevented the worst-case scenario. The city will recover, and the immediate threat is neutralized." Rimuru, reflecting on their victory, concluded, "We've faced tremendous challenges and emerged victorious. Our mission to protect the city and the Abyssal Key has been successful, but we must remain vigilant. The Shadow Cult's ambitions were great, and we must be prepared for any future threats." Aftermath and reflection. In the days following the battle, Tengu began to recover from the chaos. The city's inhabitants were relieved to see the end of the dark disturbances, and the trio worked to ensure the restoration of normalcy. Kurumi, reflecting on their efforts, acknowledged the importance of their victory. We've secured the city and the key, but our vigilance will be crucial in maintaining peace and stability. Satsuki, coordinating recovery efforts, emphasized the need for ongoing preparedness. Our fight against the Shadow Cult has shown us the importance of unity and readiness. We must continue to strengthen our defenses and stay alert. Rimuru, addressing his allies, expressed his gratitude and resolve. Our combined efforts and determination have ensured the safety of Tengu and the Abyssal Key. As we move forward, we must remain united and prepared for any challenges that may arise. As the city of Tengu returned to a state of relative peace, Rimuru, Kurumi, and Satsuki stood ready to confront any new threats that emerge. Their journey had tested their resolve and strength, but their victory had reaffirmed their commitment to protecting their world and preserving the balance of power. The final battle with the Shadow Cult had been a pivotal moment, and their resolve to safeguard their city and their mission remained unwavering. The end. Remember to subscribe and like this video. Drop 3 yellow hearts to show your love. See you in the next video.